up here, that's only happened twice. And it always leads to a massive recession. There's an indication there's no demand for steel.
Well,
and with the tariffs, anyway, I just view it as economic Armageddon coming.
So the same thing that happened in Pennsylvania is going to happen in Minnesota, basically. Because remember, it was the Midwestern coal mines that put the Pennsylvania coal mines out of business, and then put the Reading Railroad out of business, right?
I don't know, but this is where the iron ore comes
Anthracite.
up here. So.
Yeah, and then what else? What else did you hear in the news?
Those are the two stories. I mean, I was watching Penn State.
Okay.
Hockey. They might make the Final Four. They play Connecticut right now.
Oh yeah. Okay, well that's good to hear about. Return to something normal, Penn State. Yeah, I mean nothing out there is like really normal per se. You hear all these different stories of like ICE detainees and in inhumane conditions. They don't even let their relatives know that they're there. They don't even say where these detention facilities are. They don't even, confirm or deny the existence of them. And of course they deny the bad treatment and stuff like that. And you heard about the Canadian one who was detained, right? And then of course, lawyers and press and so on from Canada and also politicians had to work to get her out of that. Yeah, why would they detain a Canadian? And then why would they detain like?
The tariffs are gilding all manufacturing in the U.S. I think a car will cost $100,000. People aren't going to be able to afford that. So anyway, we'll have to see because nobody else seems to be worried about it. But to me, it's inevitable there'll be a massive recession, maybe a depression, all caused by tariffs. No reason for it, just stupidity. So.
Yeah.
I also was upset about that student Dan looked like mugged by ICE agents.
The protester
that looked like Gestapo shit, but nothing will happen there either. So, the country elected Trump. They elected the Republicans. There's nothing they can do. Just sit back and watch. Degrade. That's what I'm doing, and I feel sorry for young people in particular, because they are totally screwed. The economy is as bad as I think it's going
to be. Interesting. So I've been going back and forth with this particular person. Well, at least his alleged name is Dennis Couch. He writes, society in the world has changed so much since 1776 that the founding fathers never could have foreseen what it's like today. Rather than trying to hew to the spirit of the principles set down in the Constitution, various individuals and groups have chipped away at those over the years until we're at the point we are today. There's no way corporations should be treated as individuals, no way that money should equate to free speech, no way that gerrymandering should be allowed, no way that corporations should be allowed to grow so large as to stomp out all competition, including nations, of course, and on and on.
Yeah. Well, actually, in 1776, it was totally just an oligarchy. Only landed white men could vote. They wouldn't be able to vote.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Very, very distinguished statesman. Yeah,
British. Would be able to vote. Your mother would be able to vote. So it was 1776 was it's very different now. Women have the right to vote.
Yeah, metaphorically speaking, Britain was a sort of Rome, and America was sort of an Israel, right?
Yes, but Britain. Part of the pressure for the revolution was Britain was eliminating slavery. Slavery has always been a wedge in American culture. It divides the North and the South. And it wasn't slavery after 1865, but it was Jim Crow. It's always been there, and it's an enormous wedge in our culture, and it remains an enormous wedge in our culture. So, but that's my take. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. But.
Well, let me read you what the AI gave me. So it says, yes, there were indeed early American efforts to end slavery. Through the timeline and the nature of those efforts are complex. Here's a breakdown. early anti-slavery sentiments. Even in the colonial period, there were individuals and groups who opposed slavery. Notably, the Quakers were among the earliest and most consistent voices against it. The 1688 Germantown Quaker Petition against slavery is considered one of the earliest American documents protesting slavery. During the American Revolution, the ideals of liberty and equality sparked further debate about the contradiction of slavery. Early actions. Following the Revolution, several northern states began to gradually abolish slavery. Pennsylvania, for example, started this process in 1780. There were also efforts to limit the expansion of slavery, such as debates surrounding the Missouri Compromise in 1820. The rise of abolitionism. In the 19th century, the abolitionist movement gained momentum. Figures like William Lloyd Garrison, Frederick Douglass, and Harriet Tubman dedicated their lives to ending slavery. This movement involved a range of tactics from moral persuasion and political activism to more radical actions. Key points. It's important to recognize that the early American views on slavery were diverse. While some actively worked to abolish it, others defended it as an economic necessity. The struggle to end slavery was a long and arduous one, culminating in the Civil War and the 13th Amendment. Wow.
So I have the autobiography of Frederick Douglass. I don't know if you read that.
No, I've never read it before.
Came off the most was Northern churches supported slavery. There is a passage, I believe it's in Genesis in the Bible. Noah's son Ham sees him naked, and Noah condemns him to go to Africa and be a slave forever.
Yeah.
They use that passage to justify slavery.
Wow.
And so the Methodist Church in England was essentially founded as an anti-slavery movement. The Methodist Church in America supported slavery. All the churches except the Quakers basically supported slavery, which is appalling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking at a summary here. Yeah, it said it was published in 1845. Let's see. So it goes into early life and brutality of slavery, the power of education, the dehumanizing effects of slavery on slaveholders, the struggle for freedom. Let's see. Doesn't give me all that much. It says, in essence, Douglas's autobiography is a testament to the human spirit's capacity for resilience and a powerful indictment of the institution of slavery.
It's an indictment against our society, too.
Yeah. Well,
but I think of it as being a Southern, but like New York didn't abolish it until 1818. I don't know exactly when Pennsylvania did. I think what you read there was 1780.
Yeah.
There was slavery in the northern states too. Franklin had slaves.
Yeah. So, in what ways sometimes was the discrimination in the North worse than the slavery in the South? If you haven't remembered.
So in the South, it was actually encoded into law. So the Nazis, for instance, studied the South to figure out how to discriminate against Jews, and they just made laws to do it. And so we were the guidelines for Nazi behaviors. We enslaved blacks, didn't kill them, although some of them were killed. And, some Chinese, maybe not your ancestors, but some Chinese immigrants were slaughtered also. They were pogroms, essentially. So the same kind of shit that happened to Jews happened to both blacks and Chinese and Native Americans.
Yeah. You remember you remember Koreatown, right? And that happened shortly after Rodney King beating. See, because that was the beginning of when blacks started to look at Asians as a type of white potentially because out of necessity a lot of the Chinese had to have their own stores, and then they lived in the back of the store because they weren't allowed to buy residential property.
Right. Well, the same kind of discrimination happened to Jews in Europe, and I'm not sure if that's what caused it, but there's this theory that the natural selection Jews from Europe, Ashkenazi Jews, have exceptional mathematical intelligence, and so
that's where they got the intelligentsia term from. A person with glasses is supposed to be super smart or whatever,
Just for a second, will you put me on a chair?
Yeah.
Anyway, how are you doing, Chris? I should ask,
Uh,
not just about the booze, but how
yeah.
you're doing.
Well, I'm doing okay. I'm I'm learning a lot more using the internet. I mean, I'm getting a lot more comfortable with it because of the AI. Uh, and yeah.
But yes. And how's your dad doing?
Yeah. He's doing all right. He's right here. The main reason why I called you is to try and stimulate his brain so that he remembers more about Reading and why I'm missing and Philly and the trains and everything. Yeah, because we've been having a whole bunch of discussion about this. As far as trying to get, well, I mean, everybody in the world reacquainted with Reading, Pennsylvania, and why it's such a big deal, even though it doesn't have anything like oil drilling or coal mines or anything. I mean, it did have a railroad that owned like 66% of the railroads in the United States, and also some overseas railroads. But anyway. What?
Just have a seat and relax.
Oh, okay. Sure. Sure. So yeah. Let me go back to some of the things that we were talking about the other day. It's the Al Moskov conversation. Let me see. Yeah. In a minute. Let's see. Where is? Oh, I know. It's in my other account. Let me switch this over. So yeah. What are some prominent figures that you remember from the Reading area?
Stu Jackson was a basketball player. He ended up being like head of player personnel in the NBA.
Do you remember any mayors or city council people or yeah?
Reading. He'd always come out in his underwear and get the newspaper in his boxer shorts.
Wait, who?
I was always impressed by a guy walking around in his underwear. But
No. What was the name of the person? The name. What was the name of that particular mayor?
I don't remember his name.
Okay.
Was it Kubaki or?
Parkside Drive.
Parkside Drive, the one who lived on Parkside Drive. Which mayor of Reading lived on Parkside Drive?
It wasn't Kubaki.
Oh, but by the way, I was wondering if you by any chance remember any of the other administrations in Reading, like I don't know in particular, like who was before and after Wally Scott?
I don't know. When we moved to Reading, it was considered, the FBI wrote up a report about it. They called it Wincott or something like that. Cotton or something. But anyway, they used it as an example of a corrupt city. Oh
yes. There's a documentary called The Corrupt City, which talks about that. 100 FBI agents were sent to Reading, to stop the multicultural mafia, if you will. Meaning that it was made of many different cultures, but of course, white-looking cultures, if you will, I guess. And by the way, they were also tied to the National Crime Syndicate and also the Scranton Mafia as well. In fact, a lot of them, when they were cornered in somewhere around Scranton, they ran into their woods, tearing their expensive, Vespucci suits and stuff like that. Yeah.
A nice touch there to know about that. But anyway, I don't know much about Pennsylvania. It just always struck me as a state that should be doing better than it is.
Well, it's got over 2,000 municipalities.
Pardon me?
It's got over 2,000 municipalities. So think tanks were saying, Pennsylvania is really corrupt because it has so many different municipalities with so many different goals, and it gets to the point where if Walmart wants to build, a store in every little municipality, it can. And then, of course, within a couple of years, if it's not profitable, it can take the store out and leave, a massive storefront that no other store is able to occupy just because it's been so much bigger than any other store that's there before.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Pennsylvania has incredible beauty. It has, woods. It has mountains.
Mm-hmm.
It has streams. It just strikes me as it should be more productive than it is.
Oh,
Beautiful agricultural land.
Yeah.
Just a lot of stuff. Minnesota is much more productive than Pennsylvania.
I can imagine, yeah. Well,
all sorts of stuff.
Well, you got newer infrastructure too, right? Except for your roads. I remember that collapse that I heard about
Yeah,
years
the
ago.
roads are terrible up here, but the infrastructure is newer because people moved into Minnesota in the 1800s rather than the 1600s. But it's still other places do better than Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It should be possible.
Okay, so how about do you know about any of the following? Al Boscov, Glengarry Brick, Brentwood Industries, Polymer Corporation, Textile Machine Works, Wyoming Polytechnic Institute, the Agnes Flood. These are all things that we cover. Reading Tube, East Penn Manufacturing Company, Community General Hospital.
No. So the manufacturing stuff in general, the U.S. it costs too much to manufacture stuff in the U.S. So the manufacturing probably should have cut out Carpenter Steel. I don't know if you mentioned that.
Oh yeah. Carpenter Technology. Yeah, it's got 5 big things around the area, and actually one of their factories is like half in Reading and half in Muhlenberg Township. So they have to have joint meetings about that. Yeah. Has the river ever been worked on before? Like have they ever tried to widen it, deepen it, stuff like that? Because I've been asking questions to our environmental person about it. She doesn't want to affect it. I asked about, say, removing a pretty littered island that's about 50 feet long, and then also some sandbars underneath the Penn Street Bridge. They're not going to take the entire bridge out. They're just going to, leave the base on it and then reconstruct the top, I guess. But yeah, there's all kinds of permits that are necessary to do that kind of stuff. Oh, and then also, did you know any other doctors besides my dad, like coworkers that say that you might have palled around with or anything like that?
My friends all left the area. They're living in Georgia or South Carolina or something like that. So they didn't stay.
Okay. Yeah. So how about the church? Did you make a whole lot of friends in the Sacred Heart or any other Catholic churches, stuff like that?
No.
Were there any?
I had friends. One of my friends is still living there. That's in Colony Park.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Were there any big church festivals?
There were.
I know they have the Greek thing, which is across from the old Holy Name building. Holy Name is now Berks Catholic, right? They combined Central Catholic and Holy Name.
Right. Yeah.
And they tried to convert the Central Catholic building into apartments for a second time. They also tried to turn it into an elite sports studio. That didn't work either. Yeah, it's. I think maybe it might have been like city council who nixed it again. On behalf of some of the constituents who were saying another apartment complex there is going to raise the prices of the housing stock all around it. But I mean, there are already a lot of apartment complexes up that way anyway. It's just it doesn't. I don't have like exact figures as to how much the taxes were raised. Now we're also getting a community revitalization improvement zone, which is going to take taxes from people, and then it's going to spit some of those taxes back as a sort of like a rebate or reward for developing certain clusters of buildings or neighborhoods within the zone. It's supposed to be like I think a 130 acre zone or something like that. Yeah.
So Chris, I read recently, well, a couple of years, maybe 5 years ago, but Reading had one of the lowest per capita incomes of any.
It does. It does. You should see the maps. I mean, like the purple area on the rental map is supposed to be for 400 or lower rent. And of course, I suppose those people are like grandfathered in, or the owners of those buildings figure they can't get anybody else to rent, or those buildings are blighted and like they might eventually have to send the property inspectors in, and then maybe even the constable, and then they have to go after somebody who's like living in Florida or Europe or something like that, an absentee landlord who's just trying to make quote passive income, but that's part of the rent economy, which is destroying the overall economy. when you just sit on something and let it make money.
When people don't get paid or anything, there's really limited economic opportunities in the area.
Oh yeah. Well, for that overnight greeter position that I held at Exeter Township Walmart, there were like 150 applications for each of those positions on that level, essentially, and that's the thing. There's too many people who don't have college degrees who need employment, and they need good paying employment so they can actually catch up and be able to get college degrees and or be able to live what some people would consider a more responsible life. I mean, if they consider getting a college loan to be an irresponsible decision because you're in debt for pretty much the rest of your life, and the moment you take retail, they'll never give you a white collar job for the most part. So that's why everybody has to be self-employed.
When I graduated from high school, you didn't need a college degree. You could still work in the factories or whatever. But that went away sometime shortly after I graduated.
Oh, you're talking about blue collar aristocrats, right? You know, they
Blue collar,
yeah.
Yeah, so there was the textile. So all of that down there where we used to live, that was a manufacturing area, but that all went away. Then my mom worked in a candy factory there, but that went away too. Everything went away.
High wages often earned through skilled trades and union jobs. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing about the unions. I mean, Berks County was still, pretty much a union place, whereas Lancaster County was like a right to work place. So you pretty much be guaranteed a job in Lancaster County, but you get like the lowest wage possible. In Berks County, on the other hand, you'd be guaranteed the highest wage possible, but only if you got in with a union, and only when the unions were higher. So like the sheet metal union just all of a sudden put up an ad next to the career center at Penn State Berks and said, "Hey, does anybody want to work in sheet metal?" And people were like, "Wait a minute, we decided to go to college so we would never have to work that kind of job. Why are you asking us now?" Because our parents couldn't get into that, so it's like, well,
that is supposedly one of the major problems creating the divide in the culture.
Yeah.
That people don't want to do those kind of jobs anymore.
Yeah.
But somebody has to be a plumber. Somebody has to be an electrician.
Oh yeah. You know what?
And there's a lot of immigrants doing the carpentry anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That's been talked about in Jeff Dunham's sketch. That's been talked about in South Park. There's a South Park feature film on Paramount Plus, in which essentially all the tradesmen, like the plumbers and electricians and stuff like that, they start to take in passive income and have so many people under them that they basically become like Elon Musk, and then they have like this starship battle, the two plumbers. Oh my goodness! Yeah, you guys. Yeah, I know.
But people don't want to do it anymore.
Well, the thing is, I'm afraid that people are not going to like me. Like, they're going to believe it in terms of like they'll think I'm being uncooperative or disrespectful, or that I'm playing mind games just because I don't necessarily always understand somebody else's plain English. Although,
well, they wouldn't like me either, Chris. I'm not the same. They're typical MAGA people. They don't like people like me.
Well, see, that's the other thing. Like somebody told me that the greater the disparity between your deficient side and your proficient side, the more giftedness you're likely to develop. If if you don't get into trouble in between, or assuming you like survive, if you will, you'll be able to learn more stuff than the average people using your neurodiversity, so to
Yeah,
speak.
but that's not appreciation.
Yeah, I know.
People who are like that, they might want you to smoke.
Well, see, that's the thing. Well, yeah,
I'm
well,
not saying they're stupid, but they might not have.
no. But see, they were doing hiring by IQ scores before, but I mean, they were trying to get people who were below a particular IQ for a particular type of job, because those people could theoretically figure out things quicker. There weren't so many other considerations. They would just know. They would just be fundamentalist, literalist understandings of people, like the most basic meanings of everything. And so, of course, they can do, repetitive actions way quicker than everybody else. Those kind of people. But so they appear adaptable. But the thing is, in the long run, like as far as civilizations, you need both types of people, in order to make society. But I mean, there's also these things where like it's suggested that the pure science people don't venture into politics ever, say because they think that the science people won't understand, say, the humanities nuances, the mind games, because we think so exact logic.
That's what's going on with Musk right now. He doesn't have any empathy. He's just doing stuff. And so he's a science guy who doesn't understand people. So they're right to a large extent. I've had friends who've gone into administration. They've been terrible administrators. They're great scientists, but they're terrible administrators. So
You didn't take the lid off. See, the screw.
Oh, okay. No. I just had to wake up my dad again. Oh, he thinks there's a lid and a screw on the phone. Come on, Dad, wake up.
I'm not waiting.
No, talk to your brother.
Hey, Tom.
Hi, George.
How are you doing?
Very well. Hey, you got sprinkle
What?
fish on the top. See the fish?
No, I don't see any fish.
All right, yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I do sleep a lot. I learned a lot of tricks. Getting from a chair to.
George, you sound good and strong. How warm or cold is it there?
I couldn't quite hear what you said.
How warm or cold is it there?
Make it high speaker one.
Yes.
It is on high speaker. It's the highest speaker that you can find.
Okay.
But
Yeah, he sometimes accidentally taps the wrong.
But you know what I could do? You
with
could
his shaving.
you could try and put it on this
But,
speaker.
I was
I can try and
asking how's the weather?
It's snowing.
You're kidding, right? This very moment?
Well, it might stop.
White spot. Do you know what temperature it is
Do you
here?
want Sean connected to that speaker so the speaker Sean?
No, but he can't hear, then it's fuzzy.
Please, you have to yell a little bit. Try to yell.
Just hang on a second. All right. Where's settings? Why would you move something like settings?
I didn't know.
Well, it looks like somebody deleted settings. Okay, Bluetooth on. Okay. All right. Give this a shot.
Okay, he has you on a big speaker.
Yeah, you use this like an old-fashioned phone receiver, like this.
Uh-huh.
So you just talk right into it. Try this.
George,
Yeah,
there. Let me see if I can get it high.
Can you hear us better now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
There's less distortion.
Oh, really? Less distortion. Yeah, that most people tell me that with the Bluetooth there's more distortion, but that's great. I mean, now we know that this works a lot.
Right now, it's sunny and 78, and the roses are
78.
really blooming beautifully.
Mhm.
Yeah, so January has been beautiful weather all month.
That's good. Except
Like I
Now
told
you're-
you, if you ever want to thaw out, you should come.
Oh, definitely,
This
yeah.
is the place to come to thaw out.
All right.
You guys
Alright.
have to shiver for a long time yet, and it's already summer here because all of us were getting too hot. I was looking for places to get
Mhm.
like icy things. Well, Tom always goes year round for his milkshakes, but that's supposedly dairy products are not good for Parkinson's, so I'm trying to minimize it, but and yeah, I don't know.
When did we trying to plan a reunion for this fall down there?
Yes,
So
yeah,
I don't know how far that he's gotten on that, but he's thinking sometime this fall that we don't get together.
yeah, summer is too hot, definitely, but
Yeah,
right now it's like spring/summer weather. Like today is about 79, 80 degrees, and it's sunny, perfectly sunny, like every day is perfectly sunny. The only thing I really feel missing is rain, because everything is so dry, because it is the desert. It is the desert,
Yeah.
and so you can't
Yeah,
grow anything. Everything is water dependent, you know, and no rain equals you can't grow anything.
Oh yeah, we have washes here instead of rivers. I mean they are technically rivers, but they're dry riverbeds. I mean, people walk over them all the time, even drive over them sometimes, like illegally. And then some homeless people live there, or they'll even live in an island if the water is like trickling around it and stuff like
The
that.
coyotes and the javelinas.
Oh yes, I sometimes recorded the coyotes. Yeah, at night they're like whoop 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 whoop.
Yeah, Chris can imitate their. Well, you know, I guess that's how they communicate with each other when they find
Yeah.
hapless bunny hair or something.
Oh really? Okay, I didn't know it was
when
for.
they have food.
Yeah.
When they found food, because they're, I guess they bark or howl to signal to the others.
right, we have them in the neighborhood here. Sometimes they do that in our yard.
Oh no!
But I am having a little bit of an existential crisis, because
Why?
as the weather is warming up, I can't necessarily walk on water anymore. And so,
Yeah.
but for months I've been able to, so I was thinking of like, this Messiah complex, but now I'm falling through.
Yeah.
I heard this was a particularly cold winter, I think, on the east, or, well, you're really Midwest.
Yeah, there were aspects of it that were real cold, but then a lot of it was kind of mild, so I guess it was a mixed bag for us. But we had some really cold days.
Can't say that you call it mild when right now it feels, I've already had the air conditioner on, and I had the air conditioner on in the car today because, Tom gets hot real fast.
Oh, I think that device is good enough.
Yeah, it's very, very,
Alexa,
definitely
Does a
gets
person with Parkinson's
summer
get hotter
like
quicker?
very quickly. But one thing,
Remember,
I think the
net.com.
tile roofs
People with
do
Parkinson's
help a
often have
lot.
shake or tremor, and their bodies may not regulate heat very well.
Yeah, Tom does not regulate heat at all. Like times that he feels very cold this morning,
Yeah.
for example, and
Let's shake his hands. Oh, gotta stay awake. Come on. Give it your best shot. Come on.
yeah.
I'm waiting to see the eye.
Okay, Google. Kurt.
He's,
I'm much more sensitive to
Alexa.
the cold too. I don't have as much
Elderly
fat as I
people
used
fall
to have.
asleep. So
Well, you don't have any fat. What are you
From
talking about?
Healthline.com.
No
I
fat.
have 18% fat. Patty has the scale that tells me how fat I am every day.
Oh, really?
18%.
It'll
Yeah.
tell you that. How does it tell you the percentage? Based on your height?
percentage of what?
Yeah, so you have to punch in the height, but it weighs you and then it sends some kind of electrical charge through. So how much of you is fat,
handheld,
how
yeah.
much of you is muscle.
Yeah, the handheld BMI thing, yeah, right?
It also tells you how old you are.
Oh, really?
And
Internally. Internally?
yes. Well,
Okay.
how old are you?
Today I'm 42.
Oh, great.
Nice. Very good.
Alexa,
Oh my
Yesterday
I was
goodness.
I was
internally
43, the day before I was 44. Last summer I was 36, 37. I'm
Awesome.
aging rapidly. By the end of the year,
Awesome.
I'm
Alexa, stop.
Awesome.
Alexa,
Awesome.
how
There
is
was
internal
somebody in
age?
the
Alexa.
development that just turned 100.
Alexa,
So there
how
is
is internal
somebody
age
here.
measured?
Mhm.
They're in the same development.
From wikipedia.org.
Sure.
It can be measured by devices
Yeah.
such as a whole
I think
body
he's a
compass.
retired pathologist, actually.
That's good. I have any desire to live to be 100. I saw my.
Oh, you saw your mom.
Alexa,
Well,
I would like
it
to be 100.
depends. See, if you can maintain your age at, say, 45 and be actually not
There's
in
something
your
I found on
90s, I think that would be
Methods of living to
no
100 years
problem
old include
for
eating
you
healthy
to
foods,
want
such as
to
fruits
live
and vegetables,
that way.
and limiting stress whenever possible.
Right.
Maintaining
How long
your
does
weight
your
and staying
dad live
physically
to?
active through exercise
He
and
lived
labor
till
also
95.
longevity.
All right, well, you're probably gonna live a long time then.
No, not with taking care of a certain young man here who does not let you do anything in peace.
Hey,
Does not let
what do
you
you think
sleep.
of,
He does not let you
oh, okay.
yeah.
What do you think of the Dr. Amen book? Did you ever read it? Change Your Brain, Change Your Life?
I have not.
Okay.
I haven't.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I just haven't religiously followed the advice in it. I mean, I mostly try to get, fruits and vegetables, but I don't nearly get enough. And then sometimes I'm just so tired that I eat out.
Right? So, yeah, we are vegetarians. So how do you, make her own dough? Sour bread dough? So like, we often have pizzas and stuff like that. It's really good. Can't get good pizzas out here, so our pizza's better than what we can get commercially.
Oh, definitely. You know, your own
Yeah.
homemade stuff, you know what you put into it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and same thing raised in the garden, yeah, it's actually nutritious, what you're eating off the garden. It's not
Outline
necessarily.
the pros and cons of vegetarianism.
But, regarding the lifespan, religious people live the longest, so numbers, that's the prayer, where people live the longest.
Pros of vegetarianism. Health
There's
benefits.
Is it because of
essentially a religious
Vegetarian diets
component
tend
to
to be
a lot
lower
of
in
it.
saturated fat and cholesterol. Reduced risk of type 2 diabetes. High
maybe
fiber
that
and lower
goes
glycemic
with the,
index can
you
improve
know,
insulin sensitivity. Lower blood pressure.
peace of
Plant-based
mind
diets are
or
often naturally lower in sodium.
Exactly, that's what I
Reduced risk of
thought,
certain
when I think
cancers.
of mom to
Some
church,
studies
it's like,
suggest a link
that's
between
people.
vegetarian
So
diets
I would think that's probably a
when
good
they're
way to
falling
start the day.
asleep in church,
Vegetarian diets can be lower
like
in
this
calories,
young
higher
man
in
was
fiber,
doing
aiding in
this
weight control.
morning.
Environmental benefits.
Johnny's
Reduced greenhouse
climbing
gas
all over
emissions.
me
Livestock
and-
production is a
and
significant
behind
contributor
me
to climate
and,
change.
and
Lower
And
water
there,
usage.
please,
Meat production
go off
requires
to-
significantly more water than
Go ahead,
plant-based
how you
agriculture. Reduced
then
deforestation.
Tom is
Clearing
there
land for livestock grazing is a major cause of
nodding
deforestation.
off and
Less
I'm
pollution.
thinking, poke,
Animal
poke,
agriculture
better
contributes to
keep
water
him
and air
awake
pollution.
if he, in
Ethical
case he starts
considerations.
snoring.
Animal
because
welfare.
Snoring
Many vegetarians
is a
choose
dead
this diet due
giveaway
to
that
concerns
you
about
are.
animal cruelty in industrial agriculture,
Mine was
resource
to do that,
efficiency.
as
Using
you
land
had
and
to say, I
resources
just
to
turned
grow
it
crops
well.
for human
It was
consumption is more
horrible,
efficient than
I
raising
tell you,
livestock.
when I had
Potential
Tom and Arthur.
Vegetarian diets can encourage people to explore a wider range of fruits, vegetables, grains, and legumes. Cons of vegetarianism.
When
Nutrient
everybody is
deficiencies.
ready to
Vitamin
kneel down or
B12.
something.
Refined primarily in animal
Standing
products. Supplementation is often
Yeah,
necessary.
if you wouldn't put down,
Plant-based iron is less readily absorbed than heme iron from meat. Omega-3 fatty acids. Plant sources may not provide the same
Luckily, he
bioavailable forms as
hasn't
fish.
done that in
Calcium.
church, but when
Careful
he's
planning is
asleep, he
required to get
often
enough calcium from
yells
plant
out
sources.
or mumbles or
Zinc.
says something
Plant sources
that
of
is
zinc can
totally
be inhibited by
like
phytates.
off the
Dietary
wall.
planning and
Often
restrictions.
Yeah.
It
asking,
requires careful
yes,
planning to
and
ensure
what
adequate
about the
nutrient
price of
intake. Can be
green
challenging in
beans in
social
New
situations.
Mexico?
Yeah, so the thing is, could diet help with this at all, do you think?
Potential for processed food.
Well, there's been a
It
recent
is possible
study
to have
that
an unhealthy vegetarian diet
riboflavin
that
and
relies heavily on processed foods and
well,
refined
it
carbohydrates.
comes out of
Social
Japan.
and
I
cultural
think.
challenges can be
And
difficult in
riboflavin,
cultures where meat
what
is a
was the
central
other
part of
B
meals.
vitamin?
May face social
Not
pressure or misunderstanding
cyanocobalamin,
from
not
non-vegetarians.
B12, not
Potential for
paradoxin
digestive issues.
6.
Increasing fiber intake too
So
rapidly.
do you take supplements to make up for the deficiencies that the
Biotin.
vegetarian diet can cause? And are you ovo and lacto vegetarian, or do you, or
I am an overlapper, so I don't take B12 anymore, but 'cause I get chemistry drawn every 3 months, so I know what my B12 is, it's higher
Okay.
than the normal range, because I was taking so much of it.
yeah?
So like, if I had a deficiency, I would know it pretty quickly.
Yeah. How about omega-3s? How about fish? Do you do fish?
I haven't done so, but fish is really a good thing to eat. If you're thinking about a diet, supposedly one with fish in it, a vegetarian diet with fish in it, is supposed to be one of the best. So that's the Mediterranean diet, so I mean,
Yeah,
there's spots where people live to be over 100, a lot of them, they only eat fish. And they have a Mediterranean
Water?
diet typically.
You want water? Water? D3, okay. Good, D3, yeah.
yeah. Tom pretty much follows the diet, that fit pescatarian plus, but he also eats everything else in sight.
Yeah,
That's the problem. I mean, he follows that,
Hey,
and
here's
he
the
likes
D3.
his fruits and vegetables, but he also takes everything
Ready?
else. That's the problem. No, he's taking his medicine.
right.
Oh, why was he asking for D3
Did
then?
you read the
Yeah,
RFK
D3,
Jr. with
just
the
what it is.
governor of
Just one?
Virginia
Or
on
you
a
wanna take two?
carnivore diet?
Two.
Okay.
What on a carnivore diet?
RFK Jr. put the governor
Oh.
of Virginia
You know,
on a purely carnivore diet.
yeah, Jordan Peterson does an all beef diet apparently. He claims it did wonders on him and his daughter, although a lot of experts are saying it's bad. What would they say it's bad? Is that enough?
You mean-
Well, it's known to be inflammatory.
Right, it's supposed to be bad for colon, for one thing, but there's tons of cholesterol in that, so I don't think that could be good for you either. But, hey, he's the head of Human Health and Human Services, so he must know what he's doing.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
got all
just
sorts of
like
Qualifications.
Pete Hegseth with the Signal group chat on the defense.
Did you see Saturday Night Live last night?
No, we didn't. Let me see if I can, let me see if I can boot that up.
The high school girls chatting with each other, and then they got this notice that this. It was pretty funny.
Let me see if I can find
It
it.
was such a farce. And then to say that it's not really, national security, classified.
I think you should let everybody know before you bomb them.
Oh, this is it.
Yeah,
Group chat
exactly.
pulled open.
With what weapons, when, where, yeah, really smart military maneuvers.
I think they have to look, hey, there's classified information there, we can do this, no big deal. Drink some beer while you're doing it.
Okay, here's the clip. Group chat pulled open.
Oh my god, she is such a pick-me girl. Hey, it takes one to
This was 18 hours ago.
That's hilarious, Jennabelle. This is exactly why you're the queen bee, and I totally defer to you.
Oh, you guys laughing at that?
Yeah.
Mark Dugan is low-key hot with that haircut. Oh my
There's
god,
nothing on the
yes.
screen.
Glow up vibes.
FYI, green light on Yemen Ray. Lost airborne 15 minutes ago. Who's ready to glass some Houthi rebels? Flag emoji, flag emoji, flag emoji, flag emoji.
Who is this?
Secretary of Defense. Israel better bend over and spread it. Clear it up there.
Oh my God.
Squirt emoji. God bless the troops. Eggplant.
Oh.
Do we know you, bro? This is Jennabelle.
Oh, nice. Jennabelle from Defense, right?
You have the wrong group chat.
Well, could you imagine if that actually happened? Homer disappeared in a bush gif. Hey, like that, everyone. Sending a PDF with updated locations of all our nuclear submarines. Now we got chilling right outside Shanghai. Jordan Peele sweating like crazy gif.
Stop sending us this stuff.
Hold up. Adding JD now. Nice job on the strike, fam.
Oh my God.
Oh, gosh. Do you know they said that J.D. Vance's phone has been hacked by the Chinese?
Right, well, I've been, that somebody accessed not only the phone and email, but all the passwords too, everybody in that case.
Yeah,
The phone is our thing.
yeah,
Apparently, you can buy it.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
presumably, both China and Russia are listening to everything they say.
Yeah.
And facts.
Okay,
So, what could go wrong?
Pyramids of Giza?
Oh, God.
How would we
What a,
Same way
The
they
best in the day, Teresa.
yes, yes. Apparently, and all American, I mean, a huge majority of Americans apparently voted for these clowns. This clown who put these other clowns in place.
Yeah. Actually, it was 49.6% but your county voted for a Democrat recently. Yeah, Plymouth County,
Matt's
Lancaster.
here to pick me up.
Oh,
We're going to-
yeah. No, there was a Lancaster County person, I mean, a Democrat in a special election just won.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. So,
P.S.
anyway,
Sending you the real JFK files, not
This
those
is the
fake
real
ones they
deal.
released. Do not share.
Yeah, to replace
We've
Ryan
been trying to tell
and
you,
want
we're in high school.
to,
I think you
resign in
accidentally
December.
added us to a government chat.
Yeah, because all those names were familiar names, and then I saw that, hey,
But would you mind emailing
and
your name
then,
and home
oh,
addresses
good.
to
The
deportations@ice.gov?
pendulum is swinging the other way. I mean, finally, some people are saying, hey, the West Emperor is not in
You
any court.
did.
There's
well,
Also
where's
here,
your thing that I
can I just say
haven't heard
two
that from
things?
anybody who
One,
voted for Trump. They
Hank
said
said
they
you
would
have
vote for him
got
again.
to lose my
So,
number.
including the
And
ones that
two,
went off.
live.
This is one when I was talking to Chris earlier, the money that the Atlanta mines are all taken, they 28. The people are all Trump supporters.
Oh, gosh.
So he's supposed to keep the mines open, they're all frozen, they say.
Well,
Oh,
it
boy.
takes about 6 months to see things settle down. And you don't know who's gonna fail, but if they've been subsidized too much, they might fail, you know.
Wait, what subsidized?
Well, like say subsidize teachers, let's say, what kind of teacher would you like to hear?
Physics, math, and chemistry. Or
Okay, we cut
By the way, Uncle George is tutoring some high school kids in chemistry.
Oh, really? That's so cool. Yeah.
They get their.
Really wish I understood the
student-
concepts, but they so emphasize the plug and chug all the time these days because they think everybody's just going to go into an industry and not do pure science, if you will. The emphasis on applied rather than pure, so people don't understand the concepts well, and also the students aren't encouraged to go outside of the Common Core and do their own research and do their own thinking. And it's, of course, it's very controversial because sometimes people think, oh, we won't be able to maintain order in society if people always, do their own thing without any guidance. But you could think a little, but then you could repeatedly go back to the experts and, make sure that you're getting it right, and that at least if you're going out on a limb, it's at least sound based on everybody that's sort of come before, if you will.
Well, that's a good,
Well,
summary.
I kind of agree with that people should do their own research. It's just, they deliberately look at places where the information is personalized. Like you look for RFK Jr. for medical advice, or Joe Rogan. Those people know nothing about medicine.
Yep.
They don't have any medical advice. The medical advice is useless, but they provide it. So they recommend heartworm pills for COVID and things like that. And people die.
Mm-hmm.
And they're causes are for research.
Mm-hmm.
And people have vitamin A overdoses.
Yeah.
So you have idiots spewing off bullshit and people believe it.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Dr. Burns
Yeah.
are figuring it out for yourself.
Yeah, I had.
People go to medical school to get medical info.
Yeah.
I think that somebody's back pills are still being sold OTC, and they've been around for about 50 years, I'm not sure that the amount of time. But I was always thought they should have regulated them because of their possible brain damage and things, But I think if you look at each drug that's OTC,
Yeah.
they get, maybe they shouldn't have a license, But then your good drugs like aspirin has never been proved enough to be bad, except for hemorrhage, And keep it low, and you probably won't get any hemorrhage. But it's hard to regulate because you'll be killing a certain number of people, and I've had it happen. That without aspirin, is this working?
Yeah, it is.
Without aspirin, you could lose as much as 10% of patients who you can't reverse the clotting of the heart arteries. The heart arteries and the stroke arteries are susceptible to heart stopping things and clotting things. And that's just an example of where it's a tough decision. But there's about equal people on each side whether you should keep aspirin, as an OTC remedy. And what the remedy is for is questionable too. Whether it'll keep the heart flow, the blood strong, keep bleeding down, and let's see. Okay, headache. Yeah, it helps with headache. So, it used to be that would be what they gave almost everybody, aspirin. Did you hear that, George?
I heard part of it, Tom. I couldn't make it all out, so I don't know.
Well,
Some about aspirin.
Aspirin has been around as one of the top OTC drugs for different things, but
Mm-hmm.
they thought it would be too hard to make it just for one
Mhm.
disease. But anyway, there's a lot of situations that are controversial in medicine, and
Okay, yeah, yeah. You had asked about OTC drugs. Oh, hey, we can put more than one person on the line if that's okay with you, George. Here, let's give this a shot. Hello. Hello.
What are you doing there, Chris Truxy?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, we actually also have Uncle George on the line on the other phone. Incidentally, we were trying to jog. We were trying to jog my dad's memory on. Oh no. See, I could theoretically go to the other room. I mean, or well, anyway.
Okay. Hey, Chris,
Oh.
I have to go. So
You have to go?
great to
Okay.
talk to you.
All right.
same to you, George.
All right, we'll say bye to Uncle George. Yeah. All right. All right. See you then. All right.
Okay.
All right. Take care. Yeah,
Bye.
bye. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna reconnect the speaker to the other phone. Okay. All right. Let's see. Somebody hid settings on this other phone, so turn on Bluetooth. Turn on Bluetooth. There we go. Now we're working. You can hear everybody fine, right?
Yeah, you sound good now.
Okay, good. All right, so I forgot we were going to ask you. Oh yeah, we're going to ask you about, well, at least if not global effects of geological resources, maybe like regional. Could you talk about regional effects, like, or even like microeconomies surrounding coal mines, copper mines, other types of mines?
I'm biased because I'm from an industry perspective, and I'll do the best I can, but I'm pretty ignorant in a lot of areas, and I'll have to concede that.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll be googling stuff the whole time.
Well, I guess you're gonna fire away.
Sit back a little bit.
Well, yeah. So the thing is, well, okay. Of course, compared with like Reading, Pennsylvania. I mean, say everything around the Southwest has a lot more of these mining economies, but it's like everything to each small town that has a mine, right? Basically.
Kind of, sort of, not now historically, like of course Tombstone's a tourist town now because of the shootout in the South. But it started out as a town, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, besides what you experienced, say with the connection to China and stuff like that, have there been other international connections with mines that you know?
You mean like foreign companies owning mines?
Yeah, foreign companies owning mines, or more foreign workers coming in and stuff like that. Like, is immigration particularly important for that type of labor, or is it all like?
You know, most of the time when you have a foreign owner, it's management that comes in. So there's a very few select people relative to the overall mine force, especially like these mines in South America and Africa, where you tend to have more people working. You know, at launch, then you need to have X number of national laborers for each expat individual. That said, you know, when I worked for the Chinese in China, they were clearly moving a Chinese management in, and they let go of most of us. And likewise, our company rotates the management down to South America and Indonesia.
Yeah.
And we're an American company. And of course, I don't know what the Brazilians do with Vale. That's the big nickel thing up in Canada. But I
Yeah.
think they a lot of Brazilian management.
Mhm.
There was another very prominent one, but I've forgotten who it is. But they bring in a lot there. Oh, I know who it is. Morenci's owned. It's a Freeport mine, but it's owned 25% by Sumitomo out of Japan. And ever
Wow.
since I've been working in and around Morenci, which was 1996, they always rotated a series of management professionals in, whether they're geologists or chemists or metallurgists, and it's been constant over,
Yeah.
about 35 years now.
Yeah.
So that's one where you have a joint venture, they bring people in. Again, biased because I work with other professionals. As far as laborers go, because you asked about immigration, I know in Africa,
Yeah.
very skilled labor was from Arab Muslim countries.
Mhm.
I kind of befriended a guy from Morocco, nice guy. I forget exactly what his job was. I believe it was equipment maintenance. But those guys, laborers, India, the Philippines, the Arab-speaking Muslim world, they're all big sources.
Yeah. And how valuable would you say programs like the H-1B visa are to these sorts of things?
This is one of those places where I need to admit ignorance. I actually know a guy who works for us, Scotty Sharp, young guy. He's from Angola, I believe. He's fluent in Portuguese and English and a number of other things. But he's going through it, and he's pretty open about it. It's stressful. I don't know if you ever watched somebody getting a green card, but obviously I was close to it. And the day that green card arrives in the mail is like, it's a major deal,
Okay.
So I can only imagine folks going through. I know historically in this country, the H-1B visa got a lot of press in tech. Tech is doing poorly right now for employment.
Yeah. Even Elon himself, he got into argument with some of the MAGA people. He says, I definitely need the H-1B people because average American does not have the knowledge to do that. That's what he had said. And then Mark Cuban had also spoken during Trump 1 about that he really needed H-1B workers for his billionaire corporations and stuff like that.
I don't want to get you started or get me started because I do rant a tad.
That's okay. Well, I can give you the rundown from the AI here. Okay, H-1B, especially occupations that require theoretical or technical expertise, commonly used for professionals in fields like IT, engineering, and finance. And then H-2A is temporary agriculture workers. H-2B is temporary non-agriculture workers. L1 is intra-company transferees for employees of international companies who are transferring to U.S. branch. And then O1, individuals with extraordinary ability or achievement for individuals with extraordinary ability in the sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Then you got P visas for athletes, artists, and entertainers for specific events and performances. R1 for temporary religious workers working in religious occupations. TN for NAFTA professionals. Under NAFTA, which is now the USMCA. E-visas is for treaty traders and investors. E1 for traders, E2 for investors. J visas are for exchange visitors, not strictly work. This is not an exhaustive list, and each visa category has specific requirements and limitations. The USCIS is the official source for detailed information on work visas. Immigration law is complex. And that's all it gives.
Well, I guess you told me that you have a much better handle on it than I do.
Now, mining couldn't be grouped together with agriculture, right? Do they ever overlap at all?
I have no idea. You know, when you work for a big company, you have a legal department
Mm-hmm.
and you're relying on them to know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're management, you find out more about it and kind of figure
Yeah.
out by osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a worker bee. I've got my head down. I'm crunching numbers.
Yeah.
And the guy in my department from Angola, I like him, and I hope it works out for him. He's a good egg, good worker.
Yeah.
But I watched one guy whom I thought was pretty good, but they let him slip, and I never confronted my boss about it. Like, hey man, why did we let Mohammed slip?
Mm-hmm.
I think I know why. It had nothing to do with him because we weren't doing anything. You know, it's like, geez, we're not doing anything. Why keep, you know, keep.
Well, my friend Richard once had an aide who actually owned like 100 acres worth of property in Kenya, and then or whatever country it had come from. So that particular aide who was helping my disabled friend wasn't all that hardworking, if you will, because he had been used to being served in Kenya, you know, by like servants and stuff like that. But see that they assume that, you know, when they come to America, they could have, you know, much more, I guess, unlimited opportunities, because this particular aide was actually going to study to be a doctor, and of course we were pretty sure that he was the type who was going to be who was going to make it as a doctor. The continental Africans, they do seem to have, you know, some sort of advantage in that, not necessarily that they are the elites to begin with, in whatever country they come from, but they seem to have some sort of advantage, and it's not because, you know, the United States gives them any, you know, special treatment or anything like that. Because, like, you know, when my mom's family immigrated from Taiwan, you know, Asians being no different, they didn't get any deal where they, you know, could collect any benefits or didn't have to pay taxes for 7 years or something like that. Actually, I should double check. I should fact check those to make sure, you know, that they're not, you know, right wing conspiracy theories. Because, like, yeah.
Well, you know, I guess
I'll double check this.
Hey, how long are you in Tucson?
Okay, undocumented immigrants are not eligible to receive Social
He's
Security.
until April 23rd or 24th. But anyway, before I forget, did you guys make any plans for Easter Sunday dinner? Because you would be invited to here.
Thanks, Teresa.
Hey, real quick, there's no general
Your-
federal tax
your-
exemption for immigrants
your
upon their
whole
arrival in the
family.
United States. All right, sorry, go ahead. Yes, bring the whole family. Do. If you can.
Yeah, check with Mira and
What
Tracy.
is Easter Sunday?
Easter Sunday is April.
Just a second, I'll look it up here.
Oh, Alexa, what day is Easter Sunday this year?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
April 20th.
Oh, crap.
April 20th. April 20th.
Oh, okay. Hey, isn't that Earth Day? Yeah, I think that is Earth Day. Alexa, when is Earth Day this year?
Earth Day will be on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2020.
Okay, just a couple days.
I've got it on there. So you were saying, Chris?
Yeah. I don't remember what I was. Oh yeah, that's right. So illegal immigrants cannot receive Social Security. Illegal immigrants also do not get tax abatement for 7 years. And what about the other one? Are illegal immigrants eligible for state welfare programs?
Okay, so there's Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act, PRWORA of 1996, places significant restrictions on providing federal public benefits to undocumented immigrants. This includes programs like Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, TANF, and Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, SNAP, or food stamps, and Medicaid. However, states have some flexibility in using their own funds to provide certain benefits. This means that some states may offer limited assistance to undocumented immigrants. For example, some states may provide emergency medical care, certain health care services, limited assistance to children. The specifics of these programs vary significantly from state to state. Emergency services, regardless of immigration status, emergency medical care is often provided. Okay. All right. How about what's the other one? Okay. Describe the conditions in ICE detention centers. Oh, okay. Conditions within U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement detention centers have been a subject of significant controversy and scrutiny. Overcrowding, inadequate medical care, sanitation, hygiene, food and nutrition, due process and legal access, mental health, physical conditions, cold temperatures. Oh, wow. Interesting. Now these are the last time that the whole thing happened. So what do you know about illegal immigrants? Like, I mean, especially here around Arizona and stuff like that. Like, has the problem been really bad? Has the backlash been really?
It's funny you brought it up. I'm not saying there isn't crime and bad stuff that comes over the border. But my experience, my personal experience, and it's not, knee-jerk liberal or anything. I lived in Las Cruces, New Mexico, 3 years around 2010, and I've had this happen more than once. I had a dent in my car, and you'll have people come up to you and say, "Hey, I can fix that for a few bucks." Another guy came up to me in the parking lot at the supermarket and said, he spoke perfect English, and he said, "Hey man, I'm up from Juarez." Juarez is, of course, the big cartel city, the Mexican one, across El Paso. He said, "I'm up from Juarez, I need work, can you help me out?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't have anything." But at no point, it was broad daylight, did I ever feel like threatened. I mean, basically, these are just folks getting by and happen to not have papers, and maybe, I'm sure your dad would have a way different take on it than me. I'm sure
Definitely. I mean, I've seen.
But to me, I just see somebody who's fluently bilingual, capable, trying to earn a few bucks to get by, and it's like, I could give a rat's ass, I mean, if I could help them out, I would. Christopher.
Yeah.
I'm not engaged enough to be an activist and a zealot like you are. I'm proud of you, by the way. I think it's great to see that purpose and that. Man, I'm just trying to keep my family and keep my job, and I don't care enough I'm telling you, I don't care enough. I get horseshit. I get horseshit. I don't think these people deserve all the hate they're getting. And honestly, talking about it gets you down, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you might say, "Well, Carl, you effing hypocrite. Why are you doing something?" Because trying to keep a job and feed my family, This stuff drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely batty. It drives me batty. Because I can't do anything. But at the same time, I really am not okay with it. Is that fair?
Yeah. I'm gonna ask it if. It's okay. No. No, I'm confused because there was a friend of mine who was a not a PayPal. How do you call it? An ePal with me who lived in Mexico. She lived in Xochimilco, and she went to this school called the Tec de Monterrey. But it says here that it's a university with 35 campuses across 25 cities in Mexico. And and that doesn't make sense. How would she be in university and me be in high school and we'd be e-pals? So it could be a system like the Philippines where Mexicans would go to college right after middle school. I don't know. I want to ask.
You know, he was an American citizen, but he was essentially from Mexico City. One of my mentors in programming, great guy, Juan Ciscareño. He's in San Francisco now.
Yeah.
But he was what you would call an anchor baby, but he wasn't. His parents just wanted him to be American. They deferred to him. They went back to Mexico City.
Yeah.
Now he's American. And oddly, he was working in defense for the U.S. government.
Yeah.
But,
They do have a system like ours, except they divide. Let's see. They do have primary school grades 1 to 6, and then our equivalent of middle school grades 7 to 9, and then upper secondary is 10 to 12, and then they go to college. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, compare high school in Mexico with. I'll just use Reading High School. In Reading. Yeah.
My point was, I don't think it's so much the system. I think Mexico is a big Catholic Latin American country, like a number of them. Just like Poland used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
There are a lot of extremely brilliant Polish people. There's a lot of extremely brilliant Mexican people, and Indian and so on. Just because a country is like second world or doesn't have the greatest university system doesn't mean they don't have brilliant minds that excel in pretty amazing ways. So it's not all on the individual, but even in places where you wouldn't expect to run into people that are like super advanced because of the country. There's some. I'm married to somebody from the Congo, and I know people from there who are quite capable. It's just a rough place.
Well, that's true. And the thing is, Canada and Mexico do seem like that they're more advanced in their thinking, but probably because they've been attached to other cultures before and have been aware of those other cultures' histories, if you will. So anyway, what I found here, it says it's difficult to definitively say whether the 1% is more corrupt in one country versus another. So there's corruption perception indexes like Transparency International, and then systemic issues in Mexico. Systemic corruption challenges, including weak rule of law, influence of organized crime, lack of transparency in government business, and impunity, whatever impunity is. And then there's variations in corruption. Okay. And then what was the other one you were saying? Okay. All right. Compare corruption in Mexico with Democratic Republic of the Congo. There we go. And then, tell me what you know about the thing.
About what?
About the corruption in Mexico as opposed to Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo. I'm assuming that's the Congo you're talking about.
Hey, you're not publishing any of this anywhere with my name on, are you?
Well, not with your name on it. No.
Okay, I'd appreciate it. I don't need any trouble.
Okay.
I'm not up to an interview today.
Okay.
I don't know enough about corruption in Mexico other than, the federales ask you for $50.
Oh wait,
drive your feet and give me $50. The cartels control a lot. you just got to be careful.
Okay, yeah. Don't mention it. I'll just read the answer here. It says when comparing corruption in Mexico and the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's essential to understand that both countries face significant challenges, but the nature and severity of corruption can differ. Here's a comparative overview. Okay, Democratic Republic of the Congo, severe and systemic. DRC is consistently ranked one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Corruption permeates all levels of government and sectors of the economy. Factors contributing to this include weak governance, political instability, and the exploitation of vast natural resources. Impact corruption in the DRC severely hinders economic development, exacerbates poverty, and fuels conflict. It obstructs basic services like healthcare and education, and undermines the rule of law. And then Transparency International says consistently ranks the DRC very low, indicating a high level of perceived corruption. Mexico, systemic, but with variations. The nature of corruption can vary by region and sector. Bribery, impunity, and the influence of organized crime. Impact corruption in Mexico undermines public trust, hinders economic growth, and contributes to social inequality. It also impacts the effectiveness of law enforcement and the judicial system. While Mexico's ranking on the Corruption Perceptions Index is also concerning, it is generally higher than the DRC's, indicating comparatively lower, though still significant level of perceived corruption. DRC situation generally considered more severe and deeply entrenched. Impact on development, particularly devastating in the DRC, extreme poverty and conflict. Nature. In the DRC, corruption is often tied to the exploitation of national resources and political instability. In Mexico, organized crime and impunity play significant roles. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So that's the answer I gave. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I guess I can't remember what else I was gonna say, but like as far as like like the water situation, how far down do you think we are with development in Tucson and Phoenix and stuff like that? Are we getting close to our limit? Are they trying to weaken the law where you can't develop unless you can find 100 years worth of water, stuff like that?
I can give you my impression. Tucson is more of a Democrat,
Yeah.
dominates politically. Phoenix is pretty strongly Republican and pro-business, pro-development.
Mm-hmm.
And Phoenix is humongous. How they'll replenish water long-term is open to debate. There's been talk about desalinization from the Gulf of Cortez,
Yeah.
which is a bit on ball.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And the Saudis are working on that technology.
Yeah.
It's like any technology. It's between
Wow.
the lab. You just can't do it at scale. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want to go there out on that limb.
Yeah. You know, but like, well, how about history? Like,
Here now, they're taking groundwater out at a very rapid rate.
Mhm.
It is causing surface subsidence and cracks. There was one off I-10 a few years ago between and Tucson, and it was sizable. There's a big open crack in the ground, and that's what happens when you take fluids out of the earth, enough of them. Oil and gas goes through this a lot, they have little earthquakes. That's a pretty good indicator that you're impacting, groundwater and subsurface fluids significantly when you start to have earth movement. What exactly that means numerically over time, over human time, I do not know.
yeah, but Colorado River used to go to the Gulf of Cortez, right?
I think technically it still does, but
It's a messy floodplain, isn't it?
It's a bit of a sticking point between the U.S. and Mexico, and I don't know everything about that either.
Yeah, but Colorado River has gone to what, maybe like less than 60% of its original flow. I mean, maybe since in the last 10 years, 20 years, something like that.
Both the Colorado and to a lesser extent the Rio Grande have significant water issues, and a lot of it's very political.
Mhm.
I know in New Mexico, using the word corruption for the Rio Grande might be too strong.
Oh,
but it's-
well, actually, National Geographic did a report on that back in like 1999. Along the Tex-Mex border, there was some kind of regulatory official in Mexico, and he was given a presentation, and he put a checkbox next to each company whose pollutants were detected in the Rio Grande, and so they're working on it, but it's much slower than on our side. So that's the thing. I mean. So scarcity also could be, created by, potential pollution and stuff like that. Well, we're talking about maybe like Aaron Brockovich stuff, you would think?
Christopher, I can't predict what we're gonna make a movie about.
Yeah. Well, no, you know the basic story of Aaron Brockovich, right? The
About some nuclear stuff, and they
No.
made a movie about it.
No, it wasn't nuclear. It wasn't nuclear. It was chromium-6. It was chromium-6. See, remember, okay, the whatever company it was, some kind of energy company, they were saying that this particular isotope of chromium, or this particular, I should say, transition capacity of chromium was like actually good for you, because there is a type of chromium that's in a vitamin, but this type of chromium wasn't good for you. It was actually giving people cancer in this basically one industry town. And so what Erin Brockovich did, she was a legal assistant, struggling to get a job, and then she got this idea. She would go to all the different water companies and ask them for records of what was detected in the water, and to try it and see if there was, discrepancy in what was documented as detected and what she actually detected. So she actually would sneak up to one of those PG&E wells, and then she would, dip a cup in there without the guards noticing or whatever, and then she would take the water sample back to like her own lab, and then she'd find that it was loaded with this chromium. And then eventually she got a settlement, where all these people who had gotten cancer and stuff like that, got compensated by PG&E for getting poisoned, basically. But I mean, that's the thing, though. Like some of the things that she was able to like get reformed, a lot of them were rolled back again, and she had to, try and fight for them again. And that happens a lot. And the thing is, a lot of people in these small one industry towns, I read about one in either Louisiana or Georgia or something like that, and the cancer rates skyrocketing in that particular town. But since the industry is closed, the people are too poor to pack up their things and move to somewhere else. And their resumes may only have basically like experience in that particular industry, and so they couldn't just all of a sudden jump to Detroit or New York City or something like that, unless say they had family waiting for them, right? Yeah. I mean, if they had the money for the gas to get out of that small town, whatever it would be. Yeah, well, the thing is, well, maybe let's go back to Reading for a moment. Like, as far as Reading goes, or even Pottsville and stuff like that, how isolated would you say those towns are since the passenger rail left?
Not a whole lot going on in the coal regions. I
Yeah.
know of people who live up there.
Mm-hmm.
Some are doing, some people move up there because houses are cheap.
Yeah.
There's not a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When was the peak of Pottsville's population? Because apparently it's been treated as like a full size city, right? Was it ever as big as Philly?
I don't think so. I can look up the Wikipedia article right now.
Occurred in 1940. At that time, the population was recorded as 24,530.
Okay, no, never as big as Philadelphia.
How did Pottsville get an international reputation? Okay. So the Yingling, the anthracite coal, and the cultural and entertainment history, including the Pottsville Maroons, the former NFL team. Yeah. Destination for traveling acts and vaudeville performers in the early 20th century. Interesting. Yeah, and then of course they mentioned the Pottsville Formation, whatever that is. I mean, is the Pottsville Formation like a coal phenomenon?
No, I don't know. I can look it up. I think it's the Silurian coal point team, but I might even have the year wrong.
Yeah, it says sedimentary rock unit that includes various rock types such as sandstone, conglomerate, shale, and importantly coal. It's known to contain both anthracite and bituminous coal. Coal seams. The formation contains economically important coal seams in certain areas. For example, in regions like the Warrior Coal Field in Alabama, the Pottsville Formation is a significant source of coal. Geological context. The Pottsville Formation is part of the Pennsylvania geological period, a time when extensive coal swamps existed. Therefore, it is logical that coal deposits would be found within this formation. Okay. In summary, while the Pottsville Formation isn't solely a coal formation, coal is a notable component of its geological makeup. Does it date back to the Silurian? Okay, it says the Pottsville Formation does not date back to the Silurian period. It is associated with the Pennsylvanian period. Here's a clarification. Pennsylvanian period is the Pennsylvanian age is a part of the Carboniferous era. Okay, so the Silurian period is much older geological period preceding the Carboniferous. Therefore, the Pottsville Formation is significantly younger than the Silurian period. Okay, gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah, I was off. I was way off.
Compare with. Okay, so I asked it a very odd question. I said, how famous is the Miners Journal of Pottsville compared with the reach of Lancaster Farming? Okay. When comparing, it is essential to consider their respective scopes and audiences. Miners Journal, historically, the Miners Journal was a significant publication in the anthracite coal region of Pennsylvania. Its influence was strongly tied to the local community and the coal mining industry during its peak. Therefore, its fame is very localized to the area of Pottsville and the surrounding coal regions. Its historical value is very high for researchers of the coal mining history of Pennsylvania. Lancaster Farming caters to a much broader audience within the agricultural community, particularly the fertile farmlands of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and beyond. Agriculture has a far broader base than the very localized coal mining industry. It is a well-known publication within farming communities. It has a much wider reach than the Miners Journal. Here's a breakdown. Lancaster Farming has a significantly larger and more widespread readership due to the broader nature of agriculture. The Miners Journal had a very strong local readership during the time of the coal boom. Miners Journal was primarily focused on local news and the coal industry. Lancaster Farming covers a wide range of agricultural topics, making it relevant to a larger demographic. Yeah. Both publications hold historical value, but in different contexts. The Miners Journal provides valuable insights into the social, economic, and political history of the coal region. Lancaster Farming documents the evolution of agricultural practice in the farming community. Oh, there's another question I wanted to ask about. Maybe you know the answer to this, but why would people in Lancaster County always be obsessed with trying to go up against the teams in the coal regions? Why was the coal regions the decider as to whether Lancaster County teams could go to the states?
In sports?
Yeah, in sports. Yeah, like in football and stuff. Yeah.
I wasn't aware of this.
Oh, okay. All right. Why does Central PA Sports believe that going against Cole region teams is the limiting factor to making it to the state championship. Okay, likely stems from a combination of factors related to the Cole region's unique sports culture. Tough physical play. The Cole region has a long-standing reputation for producing tough physical athletes. This is often attributed to the region's historical industrial background, where hard work and resilience were highly valued. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm reading about Homer Hickham's history in October Sky. This translates to style of play that can be very demanding, particularly in sports like football, where physical dominance is a key factor. Oh, by the way, in the movie October Sky, it mentions that Homer Hickam couldn't get the football scholarship, but that was the only way to get out of Colville in West Virginia. Anyway, let's see. Intense rivalries. The Cole region is known for its intense local rivalries, which create a highly competitive environment. The constant competition hones teams and individual players, making them battle tested. This intense competition prepares the Cole region teams for higher level state play. Passionate fan base. Cole region communities are known for their passionate support of their local teams. This creates a high pressure environment for visiting teams, which can be a significant advantage for home teams. Historical success. Historically, Cole region schools have enjoyed periods of significant success in various sports, contributing to a perception of their strength. Essentially, the Cole region sports culture emphasizes toughness, competitiveness, and community support, which can create a formidable challenge for teams from other regions. Therefore, is based on those factors. Now, I did want to ask you something else, because my dad has always said that that you guys were all happier in Pottsville than you were in the Reading area. Is that true?
I don't know, because I was two. My older sibling, most definitely.
So wait, you weren't actually born when they were in Pottsville, right?
I was 2 years old.
Oh, 2 years old.
I don't remember when I remember it, but I remember the original house, the two staircases opposite each other. You see a double house. They must have broke out the wall, and it had a very unique two staircase setup. And I remember looking at that. You know, when you're two, you don't, you're still like working it out. So I from listening to my older siblings' rhetoric, like art, for instance. And you gotta understand, we were young men. We used a lot of language and such, and we looked at the world a certain way. But I remember art classes. Guys in Berks County are pussies.
Oh,
they're soft.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Well, Reading people generally want to be left alone. They're very passive. See, even in The Corrupt City, which was the documentary about the mafia days, they said it took so long for Reading people to actually realize that their government was being run by corruption back then, and even when they had the connection to Philly, they weren't necessarily like all that enthusiastic about it. They were very meh about everything, if you will, in today's language. So Reading people tend to be very passive. And then, of course, when it actually struck them that the city government was corrupt, they left in droves. And of course, that's why the suburbs of Reading are so big and spread out, and why people are so desperate, to separate themselves, like morally and figuratively and stuff like that, from the city of Reading, because I guess that that trauma sort of like lives on in their mind because they were a passive people who were like shocked out of their blah, if you will. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I probably said that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I also want to ask you about like in Pottsville at the house. Do you remember that it had like some kind of wrought iron gate, like a fancy one, kind of like the beginning of that John Lennon video, Working Class Hero? Did you ever see that one? I mean, the beginning of it.
I don't recall it, Christopher. I gotta be honest. The only thing I think I have a memory of, because I was 2 years old, was the two staircases opposite each other. And that's about as far back and
Yeah.
complete the memory.
Okay, so the thing was, so how many years did each of you have in Pottsville before you moved to Berkshire Heights?
Obviously, Peggy's 4 years older than me. She was 6, I would imagine. I don't know which month we moved. I think it was towards November. I could be wrong with 1964. I was 2, and Peggy, I believe, was 6.
Oh, okay.
Mary
Oh,
would be 10. George would be 14. Mary would be 10. George would be 11. Art would be 12. Fred would, Tom, your father, would be 13. Fred, your uncle, would be 14.
yeah.
That would make sense. My brother Fred graduated in 1968 from high school and went to Vietnam upon graduation.
Yeah.
That's 4 years. 64, 68, yeah. That makes sense.
I'm gonna see if I can figure out how I can word this so it's like more safe sounding. But like, why does it seem that Aunt Mary had like a really hard life that like she's I don't know, she's less talkative than the rest of you, if you will. Oh, yeah. What happened? Did you drop out?
So maybe the ball just dropped.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah. But anyway, like as I was trying to figure out how to word this so to be a little bit less a little bit more innocuous. But like as far as I think I'm low on battery on the Bluetooth. Well, I can switch back to the speaker. So as far as someone like Aunt Mary, did she have a hard life? Because like I noticed she's not as talkative as the rest of you. Like I mean I know that Aunt Peggy can be a little bit difficult at times, but like it's sometimes I feel like Aunt Mary needs to be on her own a lot more than the rest of you. Was there something as you were growing up that just really affected Aunt Mary differently?
I'm biased because I'm very similar to your Aunt Mary. In fact, at one point, your cousin Juan introduced me to his wife and said, he's the male equivalent of my mom. We're both kind of depressed. Depression is, at least by a lot of medical tapes, a chemical condition. My father was probably depressed. It's in our makeup. I think it's more nature than nurture. Some things didn't help. We do tend to hang on to things. I don't think Mary ever completely bounced back from divorce from husband.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know,
See, you and her are both realists, but you're able to put it in like a nice way. You're able to see both sides of the coin, and like some.
well, actually, not to be devil's advocate or a pain in the butt, Mary is actually considerably more resourceful and confident than I am on a lot of fronts, and has a better outlook towards people. She's a very giving person. I'll just be upfront. You know, if it comes to any kind of critical thing to say about my sister, I'm not going to say it.
Okay, but I mean, if you can get real general on this, but why do you suppose she doesn't trust me in general? Is it because I'm not successful? I mean, is that it, or is it?
First of all, I don't know that she doesn't trust you. Now, there's a distance there. You know, people don't grow up in a vacuum, and this isn't fair. This is my take.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's my black and white thinking. Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
Look, once was, but there was a time when my brother Art was a genuine threat to my parents. Okay?
Oh, okay.
That's scary. You have somebody who's a bit off center saying things that aren't, could be taken a number of different ways. You just don't know where it's going. I don't know if that's what's going on.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes, sometimes I have black and white thing, but also sometimes I'm probably a little bit too creative for her liking. So people, like my specialists, they say that I'm out there. So maybe Aunt Mary might sense that sort of like counterculture vibe, but then she might also associate it potentially with mental illness, and so it's a subconscious thing maybe. And then also, the potential, I could have been, homeless if my parents weren't, so generous to me and stuff like that.
If we went through a bit with your Uncle Art, it may not be fair. I'm not saying you're my Uncle Art, Christopher.
Yeah.
Mary's had a rodeo or two.
Yeah.
And folks, so,
Oh, believe me, my mom has made that comparison tons of times. Nearly tried to drill it into me.
In this case, it's not like a pejorative or in your face. I actually feel bad saying it.
No, I'm used to it. It's fine.
If Mary is cagey around you or not completely open to just stuff and you guys don't have a great rapport, try not to take it too personally. We had another relative, let's just put it that way. We had another blood, immediate, close relative with some very serious problems and was an absolute physical threat. In fact, he did jail time.
Oh, okay.
That kind of thing, you sort of have to set boundaries and guard against anything.
Oh, he see that's the thing. Sometimes if they're generous in what they consider the coal regions, they'll also consider Lebanon to be part of the coal regions as well. And the thing about that, it was very white working class kind of thing, similar to Pottsville. And the key thing I remember in conjunction with this is that everybody used to think that in the Lebanon area that it was almost like a rite of passage that you would end up in jail for a day or two. I mean, like there was a sense that it almost happened to just about everybody and stuff like that. I mean, there was this one guy who I worked with at Palmyra Walmart, which is not a community that's very comfortable with like racial diversity historically. But anyway, this this fairly old white guy, maybe like in his 60s, maybe even 70s. He used to own a business called the Palmyra Pancake House. But anyway, he was working at Walmart with me, and then he would sometimes come home drunk to his wife, and then eventually his wife kicked him out. And the next time I saw him, he was living in this men's boarding house in downtown Palmyra instead of a house more out in the country. But like the thing is, I guess the sort of like the toughness sort of like brings more conflicts, because like the way that my friend Sergey used to put it is that some people feel like they have to get the upper hand preemptively if they're ever making some sort of like, I don't know, financial deal or any kind of thing to do with some kind of abstract, I don't know, home space or safe space or whatever. Like there has to be more boundary defining, and you have to try and get the upper hand sooner. I mean, it just seems to be like in general a more rural American thing, but it's associated with the industry.
No idea.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know how important it is. First of all, it's perception. It could be real, could not. I don't know. If Mary genuinely doesn't trust you, there's one one way to gain somebody's trust, and that's to gain their trust.
Well, that's the thing. I tried to invite her to my friend Claire's events, because I thought there was a way that she could participate in my life, be a part of my life again, as like really meant something. I mean, she was mad that she couldn't just stop by at my apartment and drop off some of grandma's stuff, like when I didn't know she was coming. But there's a sort of sense that her time is just really valuable, and of course I don't know the context of that, and of course, like through the course of my problems with working with city government, I found that seems to be a problem with everybody. Like the overworking, the understaffing, the sort of impersonalness, the inability to even answer an email. That's talked about, and the slow progress, and essentially seniority rules, and oftentimes they're the only ones who get to speak because they're doing the brunt of the work. I wish we could have like a more democratic system and stuff, but then in terms of non-political things, Aunt Mary seems to be doing a whole lot of invisible labor that I don't know about. And of course, my black and white brain is thinking, she's retired. She's got lots of time. Maybe she can go out and have fun. But she doesn't like fun, all the time. And then she's got two bad knees.
There's something you gotta understand.
Yeah.
Nobody has enough money, okay? Nobody.
Mhm.
You're working until you die.
Yeah.
That's life. And I know I sound like a bit of a jerk saying that, but it's true. So whatever Mary's doing, I can almost guarantee
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I just feel like working. Secondly, we were brought up in I don't know how to explain it. You're
No.
maybe talking about it. Mom and Dad never went on vacation.
Yeah.
They worked. That's
Yeah.
what we do. We work. So there's two things going on there, and one, Mary probably does, if she's staying in that house, need the money.
Yeah.
Even have the mortgage paid off, big house requires money. That's
Yeah.
where you know it.
Geez.
You know,
There was a YouTube video talking about this. So this basically means that I have been thinking in a very spoiled generational wealth way, and I'm not familiar with it, with the way that the average American has been. They were talking about this in conjunction why the average American would choose to vote for Trump, for example. And like in my spoiled generational wealth kind of thing, I've been used to, potentially taking, like cross country trips or even international trips in many of the cases of those, upper middle class generational wealth people. And so it's different world. Yeah.
I'm not criticizing anything about your life, and I don't begrudge you a single thing. I think it's great.
No, but I realize these are all facts of life.
Explain to you,
Yeah.
because your questions
Yeah.
are just like, wow, why would he ask that?
Yeah.
Because in my world, I know exactly why Mary's working. I have a fair idea why she might isolate, and sometimes you got to accept people where they're at. And you mentioned something about I didn't want to jump on it.
I'm too visionary. I mean, that's the problem. But
it wasn't about Mary. It was about these people doing work for the city council or whatever it is.
yeah, I was on the planning commission, but I received a censure. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the way it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I confess I get a little frustrated trying to sort it out with this brain picking, only because.
So did this same thing happen like back in the 60s? I mean, were people actually really closer to getting let's say, a new political and economic system, or was it just in the hippies' minds that they could do that because essentially they were spoiled, rich college kids?
That was your dad's take. Most hippies were rich. Your father frequently said that, and he wasn't wrong. Grace Slick was a singer, and she was like privileged out the yin yang. So yeah, there's an element of truth to that. Your dad's not off the mark, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are you able to get all this time to be able to talk to me? Because you're doing your career and you were taking a course down here at U of A, I heard. Like that's like an hour commute every day, isn't it?
I'm not taking courses. I did try to start a graduate program after my first wife died, and I failed. I just couldn't do it. I flamed out. That said, Chris, the reason why I'm finding time to talk to you, I don't mean to be sappy. You're my nephew, and I love you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
It's not like, oh, I'm so interested in this, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
man, Chris called. I better
Yeah.
call back. You know, it's
Yeah.
not rocket science. I don't know what to tell you,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So the good news is you're loved. Whether you want to be loved or not.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So what were you going to get the degree in? Were you going to continue in geology, or were you going to do something else?
You know, nutshell, I started a family late in life. Okay, I tried to start over, and I'm where I'm at right now. I'm
Mhm.
63 years old, living the life of a 35-year-old guy,
Mhm.
and I somehow got to make it happen. So yeah, if I still have my faculties, I got to push. I got to push and push.
Okay, so I just asked the AI for an outline of the contents of a graduate course of study in geology. Core courses includes advanced petrology and geochemistry, igneous petrogenesis, magma generation, differentiation and placement, metamorphosis. Oh, you've done all that. Oh, you've done all that. So,
Engineering. When I watched out.
oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, there. Okay, I'll just read the categories. Okay, advanced structural geology and tectonics, sedimentology and stratigraphy, geomorphology and quaternary geology, specialized elective courses, hydrogeology, economic geology, paleontology and paleobiology, environmental geology, planetary geology, and then research and thesis, dissertation, research methods and design, independent research, thesis and dissertation defense, graduate seminars, field trips, professional development, teaching assistantships, conference attendance, publication research. This is a framework that can be tailored to specific program requirements and student interests. Okay. So like if you would go back, but see, the thing is, you mentioned family. So the thing is, what if you went for like, prepare an outline for a PhD program in psychology with emphasis in family systems. There we go. Incorporating research, clinical skills, and theoretical foundations. Let's see. So they say research methods and statistics, advanced quantitative methods, ANOVA, regression, structural equation modeling. You had some of that stuff, right? I mean,
I had economic geology. That's my specialty.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See.
So, yeah, I'm a little too old to go back to school.
Yeah, but the thing is, what if you found some sort of accelerated program? Oh, well, actually, you wouldn't be able to do accelerated because you wouldn't have time with the kids now. Because I mean, right?
Technically, Christopher, I could do it. Life changes a little bit, especially in the workplace when you turn 50. I mean, it does when you turn 52. You kind of know this stuff. You've probably seen it already, if not with yourself and your coworkers. I was naive. when you turn 50, you're old news. Okay, you're there as a bridge, as a mentor where necessary, as a brain trust, whatever. But you're basically a fossil. And,
Yeah.
And you got to accept that and adapt. There's things I'm doing, but that are kind of newish, but.
Well, like for example, our environmental person who works for the city of Reading, she actually is considered a public works employee. But the thing is, see, she has a PhD in ecology. However, the rumor is that she's learning everything that the current director of public works knows, because he may down the line consider retiring, and so she's going to all these meetings that he's telling her to go to, that are like outside of her area, but they're close enough that she can pick them up, because she's had such advanced knowledge within her field. What I call like the leaky bucket theory. Like once you fill a bucket to the top, then it starts to spill over in other areas, and then you become more adaptable because you're so knowledgeable in one area. That also happened with the head of the planning commission too. He was in building and trades, and then he also got into computers on the side. And then as the number of planners decreased, he ended up filling in and constantly asking questions of the existing planners until there was no city planners left, and then eventually he was doing all of the planning work by himself, even though planning wasn't his area. So there definitely seems to be, like, at least in past times, more of a learning on the job kind of thing, especially with, say, engineering technicians who have told me before that college educated engineers don't know anything about the equipment, and the engineering technicians have just so much experience behind them that they're just like really outperforming the college educated engineers.
There's definitely an element of truth to that.
Yeah.
It depends on context, but yeah, that's just them puffing. There's no experience for on the job experience and equipment, knowing what reality is versus fear.
But
Just it's the same with anything.
But in the trades, you get a chance to learn slower than you would in college, because right? I mean, because after you get the base information, say for plumbing or whatever, don't you go into say the journeyman stage, and then the apprentice stage and stuff like that, and that's supposed to last something like 7 years, isn't it? Theoretically.
It's rigorous. I don't know the details. What I do know is in school, they don't teach you all the things that you need to know in the field.
Yeah.
Secondly, there's just no substitute for real life experience. It's hard to explain, but until you've been there, you don't know. You don't know the culture. You don't know the nuts and bolts. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
If those guys are saying, they're smarter in some ways, they're not wrong. They're not wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let me see how many years might this actually take? Okay, so the time it takes to progress through an apprenticeship and reach journeyman status can vary significantly depending on the trade, the specific program, and the location. However, here's a general overview. Typical timeframes: apprenticeship duration. Most apprenticeships typically last between 3 to 5 years. This timeframe involves a combination of on-the-job training and classroom instruction. The common benchmark is around 8,000 hours of on-the-job experiences. Factors influencing duration. Trade. Some trades, like electrical work, may have longer apprenticeship periods due to the complexity of the skills involved. Location. State and local regulations can affect the required training hours and duration. Program structure. Apprenticeship programs offered by unions, trade associations, or individual companies may have varying lengths. Individual progress in apprentices' aptitude and dedication can influence how quickly they acquire the necessary skills. By the way, I do hear that there's huge demand for HVAC technicians. Yeah.
That's true. You know, Nikki's husband, your cousin Nikki's husband, is an HVAC technician. He's done wonderful. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, see, when I was living in the DC area, there was this random person I met. I don't remember how I ended up running into it, but he said you have to buy the book and study it, and then persuade the people at this particular technical school on Route 50 that you can catch up quick, even though you haven't had, say, some kind of basics, which like everybody else had if they were tracked for it since like high school and stuff like that. But and so he told me like he's met all kinds of people like while doing maintenance for like the he said there's a Stanford campus, Stanford from California. They have a campus in DC for like the international relations students. And he said he got to like fix showers and clog drains in an all girls dorm. And sometimes they would invite him to stay overnight with them.
You know, I've only been in a women's dormitory once.
Yeah.
I was trying to friend, just to go for a hike. It was nice. I actually liked this gal a long time. I was at grad school. Nothing. But I enjoyed talking to her. I really like this gal. But make a long story longer, the vibe is definitely different. And even then, I've never been like this super attractive dude, you know? But I was a dude in that dorm, and it's different. That's all I can tell you. It's different.
Yeah. The energy, the energy that masculinity and femininity carry. Yeah. Definitely different today, and also like the political considerations and stuff like that. Actually, Nomad Capitalist, he's an influencer on YouTube, and he said that his clients report to him that in other countries, the men and women conflict is not so bad or totally non-existent, and people are not so obsessed. It's not like so high stakes for marriage and dating in other countries as it is for the United States for some reason. There was a 16-year-old girl who was an exchange student from the Netherlands, and this was her second time to the U.S. and she got to play field hockey this time. But anyway, well, first of all, Netherlands has a king, although he's only like symbolic. But she also said, as far as dating and marriage, it's much harder than in the United States. They take it much seriously, and so they don't consciously think about it as much because they know it's such a huge hurdle to get over if they actually want to do it. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Let me see what the AI says about it. How much harder is it to date or get married in the Netherlands than in the U.S.? Okay, AI claims not necessarily harder or easier, but rather that the cultural norms and expectations surrounding relationships is different. Okay, key differences: directness. Dutch culture is known for its directness. This translates into dating where people tend to be very upfront about their intentions. This can be a significant contrast to sometimes more ambiguous dating culture in the U.S. Yes, people say stuff without saying stuff in the U.S. all the time. And I noticed that that love confessions in Japan are actually supposed to be like really common. I think they also do that in other Asian countries as well. Particularly, I would think Korea and Taiwan. Okay, so in Dutch culture, the directness means less playing games and more emphasis on honest communication. Casualness. Dutch dating tends to be more casual. There's less emphasis on elaborate dates and more on relaxed, informal interaction. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that reminds me of when I was in Pennsylvania Stands Up, and they didn't want to just go for a walk or a hike or afternoon tea or something. They wanted to have a salsa dancing session. Oh my goodness. America is so much more like overdone. And everybody has to go to their, like, I don't know, $600 several month long yoga classes. Jeez. Uh, yeah. So let's see. This contrasts with some traditional. Here we go. Gender equality. The Netherlands has a strong emphasis on gender equality, which influences dating norms. For example, it's common for both men and women to initiate dates and split the bill. This contrasts with some traditional gender roles that may still be present in parts of U.S. dating culture. Relationship pace. Relationships in the Netherlands may progress at a slower pace. There's often more emphasis on building a solid foundation of friendship before moving into a romantic relationship. This can be a large contrast to the often faster pace of relationship development in the U.S. Yes, I noticed that. In the U.S., it's so much more. I want my marriage now. At least as far as women, they're very picky. That they want to get married as soon as possible. There's always that sense of like timing as far as physical body limitations, but you know, it just seems like they don't have that issue in the Netherlands. Emphasis on individuality. In the Netherlands, even with a relationship, there's a large emphasis on maintaining individual freedoms and hobbies. And submarine dating in the Netherlands may feel less focused on romantic gestures and more on genuine connection and open communication. The directions of Dutch culture can be refreshing for some, but it may also take some getting used to. Therefore, it's not a matter of difficulty, but of adapting to different set of cultural expectations. Oh yeah, yeah, and of course, my whole attitude is like, who's the nobody who gets to marry somebody who I knew really well. He just appears out of nowhere, and then she loves him like crazy, and then of course, divorces him soon after. Maybe after having 3 or 4 kids, stuff like that. Or in Catholic context, sometimes the wife will just retire as soon as she gets married. Well, not exactly retire, but like retire to art or music or in the case of the one who I really wanted to marry, aromatherapy. Yeah, that's interesting.
Sometimes what seems bad is actually dodging them. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah. Well, there was another Catholic couple, from the OMPH crowd, who basically after they got married, did nothing but travel. Like it seemed for like at least a year. They were constantly traveling around the world. I mean, international destinations. And the thing is, those kind of people, they sort of like, raise the expectations, say, of women for men to provide and do these, if you will, elaborate dates or elaborate, cruises, vacations, etc. In order to prove love, but that's not love. That's brain chemicals, but that's not lasting love, because it doesn't make people actually deal with difficult things. And so that in general, there seems to be overall this this avoidance of difficulty. But the thing is, generally speaking, it was always told to me in one way or another that it's always completely the woman's risk, at least from the feminist perspective. And then as far as the men, now they're walking away and saying that it's all their risk. And especially because of the divorce problem, where they say, like, for example, the women who are, say, millionaires or billionaires, a large percentage of them got it from divorcing their millionaire or billionaire husband. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe I'll ask the AI. Is it true?
The most famous one is Mackenzie Bezos. And
Yeah.
he was one of course, he's with that trashy lady now.
Mm-hmm.
I will tip my hat to her, though. She's a bona fide helo pilot. She hasn't crashed it. You got to be pretty good to fly a helicopter.
Yeah.
So, for her,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the Bezoses. I just wish they like.
Okay, AI says the idea that many rich women get rich through divorce is a simplification and often a misconception. While some high-profile divorces result in significant financial settlements, the reality is far more complex. Here's a breakdown. Financial settlements, in some cases, particularly in divorces involving high net worth individuals, significant assets may be divided. This can result in one party receiving a substantial financial settlement. However, this is not the norm for most divorces. And of course, there's also alimony and spousal support. Economic impact of divorce. Studies consistently show that women are likely to experience a decline in their standard of living after divorce. So maybe they're just trying to, I guess, level the playing field. Prenuptial agreements are increasingly common. Women have increasing earning power. There's also note that more women are the breadwinners in modern relationships and therefore are the ones who retain a larger portion of the wealth post-divorce. So that's the other thing too. It's almost like all men are starting to become disabled somehow. And maybe the problem is that everybody's being expected to go to college instead of, say, taking a longer learning path, say through the trades or something like that. And then, of course, all those manufacturing jobs are going away like crazy. Rust Belt and all. So a lot of the voters in Trump 1 were from the Rust Belt. I mean, it wasn't just the Bible Belt; it was the Rust Belt. I mean, because you go there and you see all of these, pictures of factories that are like dilapidated and unused for maybe a couple decades. Let me ask you, how badly are in disuse the factories in the Rust Belt?
Just crap.
What? Yeah. The decline in manufacturing in the Rust Belt has left a significant number of factories in a state of disuse. Deindustrialization, the decline of heavy industries like steel and automotive manufacturing have left many factories vacant. Factors such as globalization, automation, and shifts in economic activity have contributed to this. Okay, so that's why they're always about worrying about if the jobs have been shifted overseas, especially the auto plants. And especially in concern with like African Americans, like since they had migrated in huge amounts to Detroit to find work, and then in addition to that, like my friend Ron's relatives, I mean, being Polish and stuff, also migrating to Detroit as well. Oh, and by the way, he also mentioned that for something that happened in the 1700s, the Ukrainians in Detroit were not happy about the or the Polish were not happy about the Ukrainians coming into Detroit. That's what it was. Yeah. and the thing is, with countries with like 3,000 years of history or more, sometimes these grudges get held longer than one would think, especially in context of like the royalty and the if you will, the rigorous mind control that implies, as far as rallying around sort of like a savior figure, if you will. Yeah. Let's see. Economic shifts. The Rust Belt region has struggled to adapt to a post-industrial economy. Oh yeah, my dad was talking about this. Yeah, that everything is turning towards the service economy. Many communities have faced challenges in attracting new industries to replace the loss of manufacturing jobs. But even in the service economy, you get no service. I remember in the 90s, they were always talking about the dialogue boxes on the phones, press 1 for whatever, press 2 for whatever, those kind of things. And then there'd be like, 10 options and stuff. And like, as far as service industry, like people sometimes get very particular about what their job entails and what it doesn't entail and stuff like that. We are not of this, we are not of that. And then after hearing not so many times, you wonder, what do they actually do? Aging infrastructure. Many of the factories are old and require significant investment to modernize. This makes it difficult to repurpose them for new uses. The extent of disuse, varying conditions. The degree of disuse varies across the Rust Belt. Some areas have seen more significant decline than others. Some factories have been repurposed for new uses, such as warehousing, distribution, or even residential development. Yes, that's one of the things that we're doing in Reading. I think it's at like, well, I remember Plum Street is one of the cross streets, but it's close to Franklin Street, and it's close to the front of the city. It was a old, I think it was an old engineering building. and like the roof was caving in, and they had to either raise or lower the stairs so that it could be used for an elderly apartments, like for wheelchairs and stuff like that. Yeah. Let's see. How many others remain abandoned, becoming symbols of economic decline? Oh yes, actually, in Reading, incidentally, there was this building that's been sitting with the roof caved in for seemingly like I don't know, like 10 years or more, maybe even 20 years. And the owner tried to come in to the planning commission to try and collect some kind of compensation for it, and the planning commission refused because um, because it had been left in disrepair for so long. I mean, you could see well, I mean, it said that it was a construction site, but like you could tell that it hadn't been worked on for a long time, because not only was the roof caved in, but like the top part of the wall was caved in, and and everything was like in like a big pile, but it was in a pile because it had all fallen on top of each other. And so I actually, with the planning commission, got to take a look at two of those particular types of buildings. Yeah. Disuse of factories has had a devastating impact on many Rust Belt communities, leading to job losses, population decline, and economic hardship. The visual impact of the abandoned factories has also had a negative effect on moral of local populations. Efforts at revitalization. There are ongoing efforts to revitalize the Rust Belt, including initiatives to attract new industries, promote entrepreneurship, and invest in infrastructure. The success of these efforts varies. Wow. Okay. The Rust Belt has experienced a significant decline in manufacturing, resulting in a large number of disused factories. The impact of this disuse has been proven, affecting the economic and social fabric of many communities. While there are revitalization efforts, the region continues to face challenges. Now, there is a book about 60 East Coast towns, like Reading, who suffered greatly when the passenger rail left their towns. It's I think it's called When the Train Leaves Town. Anyway. I've always wanted to buy it, but it's a little bit more expensive of a book. But yeah. Let me see here. What else? Yeah. So as far as manufacturing, see if Reading is part of the Rust Belt, then say the glowing picture that GRCA has to provide to the community this seems a little bit off base. And also Greater Reading. Commercial Authority or whatever they are. Chamber Alliance, Greater Reading Chamber Alliance. When they go to national Chamber Alliance conferences, they say they get glowing reviews from everybody there because, of course, we're supposed to be the little engine that pulls itself up by its bootstraps and recovers so well. But I think part of the reason why we recovered at all is because, incidentally, of lots of immigration, including the illegal immigrants, and also including Latinos who have been living in the United States for a very long time, like very established Puerto Ricans who come from New York and can't get a leg up in New York City politics, so they come down here in Reading, and then basically they're super educated and super powerful and stuff like that, and of course respectable. I mean, because they can do a good job. We have a Puerto Rican Latino mayor who is from Brooklyn. Of course, he's very private about his past, so he doesn't have a Wikipedia page. But we also have two Latino state representatives, Johanny Cepeda Freites and also Manny Guzman, who sort of took over for Caltagirone Rome because Caltagirone Rome was involved in a corruption scandal. Manny Guzman had a thing with the DCED person. It was a grant workshop, and the DCED person's name is Fadia Homa, and she talked about all of these different special programs, some that last a year, some that last 5 years, nonprofit pairs with a for-profit corporation. For-profit corporation gets tax break if they fill out the forms for donating a certain amount to the nonprofit. Yeah, a lot of work to do. Everybody should learn to collaborate. That's what the Habitat for Humanity guy was saying.
I still haven't gotten the list of like all the participants there, because like there had to be at least 30 different nonprofits represented there. Well, there were some for-profits too, including a development company that I'd heard before, something like Milliman or something like that. But anyway, like in general, I had not, spoken to any of these people, and frankly, I don't know whether or not their mission would fit in with mine or not. But the thing is, a lot of organizations pair even when their missions don't match up, and I'm wondering, if all these people really are visionaries, for improving the city of Reading, why haven't they found each other yet? Are they all working regular jobs? Is the nonprofit thing something they do on the side? Anyway.
Well, I'm glad it's working out.
Yeah.
In part of the whole Reading thing.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, I'm more focused on your peace of mind than I am on a lot of the things. And I know it's funny, you post about it on LinkedIn, it's like everybody, success and the transaction nature of it, what society expects of you.
Yeah.
I know it sounds so sappy and Pollyanna, but I just want to see it happy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm getting to that point. I mean, just so long as I don't actually, because I know I'm already under scrutiny, generally speaking, wherever I go, because I do apparently have a national presence and possibly a little bit of an international presence, and so like depending on like what I talk about, say if I talk about, say, even an international or national issue, that can gauge a reaction potentially from a local police. So the thing is, these sort of things are like, I don't know if they're coordinated perfectly or whatever, but it just seems to me like, okay, I did go to a police seminar that was sponsored by my support agency, and they did say they do receive sort of like bulletins from like FBI and other federal agencies if there's concern. But see, the average person is not supposed to see those things because those are law enforcement sensitive. However, they did accidentally leave one of them on the table face up, and I read it, and basically their news is so much more detailed than ours. Like, they get informed of stuff that happens like in Europe and Asia and Africa and stuff like that. That like they'll say, there was a terrorist attack which involved this, and this, which involved people from so and so other country, which involves so and so implements, and stuff like that. And like, of course, average American never sees that in the mainstream media, and so like, so it's like police have to be so much more informed. But like that also creates a very big imbalance of power as far as as far as if someone is already under scrutiny, then it means that they're just gonna be watched tighter, and where that subtle reminders of threats can be given. So sometimes the way I think of it is like I have to sort of like separate myself from like what's their job and how they have to act fierce. Otherwise, nobody will be afraid of them, and they can never actually give people the benefit of the doubt because it's not about training to do so. The training has procedures that have to be followed. So that's the thing. I was thinking for a while, maybe in another country, I would do well, or maybe if I had some more knowledge, or had a way of gaining knowledge quicker, that say I could be trusted more. But generally speaking, to some people, I mean, and it also depends on where you are to some degree, but to some people, I am like the most despicable evil they have ever seen. And a lot of that comes from misinformation on these, junk science sites, conspiracy theory sites, QAnon type things. But, frankly, I don't know what to do about that. However, the best thing I can do, I think, is just gain information for myself, and try to put myself out there as much as possible, and just try and keep having, conversations with lots of people.
There's a short story. I wouldn't want to make you paranoid because I think.
But I mean, there's only so much I can do to look for problems in myself.
There's a short story. I was minored in German college. It's post World War II, but it's called Du fährst zu oft nach Heidelberg. You ride your bicycle too often to Heidelberg. He's in a job interview and they're saying, "Hey man," and they kind of broach the subject awkwardly and say, "This Chilean friend of yours." That's how they broach the subject.
Yeah.
Like, your friend with a guy who might be a communist. You're not getting this job. I don't want to ruin the punchline. This is a short story anyway. It's a couple pages, and that author was really good at pointing out that whole underlying societal thing of what people expect of you, what they demand of you without ever saying it. You're in Berks County, unless things have changed. It's a Pennsylvania Dutch culture, and it's all about work. All about work. So I'm not going to tell you to work just because it's like, oh, you'll fit in better, Christopher.
No. The thing is, I won't fit in.
And that's what they value.
Wait, what do they value?
Work.
Oh, yeah. Well, not just that. I mean, now it's being totally politicized, meaning that, like, if you're too disagreeable politically, they will find underhanded ways of getting you out of there. And it's happened. And sometimes it only takes one person, and then that one person can basically, like, turn the other people, based on what they say. I mean, if they're, like, culturally close enough. I mean, sometimes it's not just white people. It can also be a group of Latino people, for example, or black people, depending on where you are, or it can be a combination of any mix and match, depending on how close they are in like understanding of work culture or political.
Politics of work sucks. You're screwed.
Yeah.
But people where you're at, you value work above.
Yeah. You just, I mean, it's like you just don't expect it to turn into a lot of in-person stalking, online stalking, like wherever you travel, basically that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just, but then again, generally mean people. It's like, well, that's my mom's take on it. I mean, she encounters these same people all the time, and they try to mess with her, and she just thinks, oh, that person's just a jerk. That person's just off, if you will. But like, she doesn't actually see that person as part of like a coordinated thing, if you will. And I'm like, they hit all personal points about my life, or things that they've harassed me on before, when she tells me about this person who she encountered at Staples or whatever. But the thing is, I know what to expect from these people, but it's like, it just doesn't faze her, because she had such a hard upbringing herself, especially, dealing with the sexism in Asian culture. Yeah. All right. Hang on a second.
Well,
Yeah. Hey, Dad, do you want to talk to your brother? Yeah, it's Uncle Carl. Your brother Carl?
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
I better not, unless you say.
Okay. All right. Yeah. He's struggling to stand up. So how are the kids doing?
We got a tablet communication device for Evan. It took about a year. It's not set up yet.
Oh, yeah.
Milestone, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I realize how long those things take now, based on how long it took me to get into the Medicaid waiver for autism in Pennsylvania. Really long waiting list. Yeah. And then of course it must have taken me about, I want to say at least maybe like a couple weeks to set up like the basic supports coordination waiver. Somebody would come over for like an hour at a time each week, and then that person helped me apply to like the regular autism waiver. But I had to be on the waiting list for like 10 years, and then all of a sudden I went from like, I don't know, number 10 to like 1 or something like that within a couple months. And then I want to say the whole process from, say, starting in Lebanon in around what 2000 maybe 2021 or something like that, and then ending up in Reading at around maybe like 2022 or something like that. Must have taken about like a year to get everything set up with like paperwork. And then of course also lucky that I was near the top of the waiting list for both the autism waiver and also for the Project Rental Assistance housing as well. And also that there was an opening in Reading. There weren't any openings in Lancaster or Lebanon, so that's why I didn't go there. But it put me very far away from a lot of the friends who I care about who are in the Lancaster and Harrisburg areas. So it's like, yeah, so much harder to get there. But yeah, I'm finding ways to try and make things work a lot better. And I think now that I've quit the planning commission and don't have like an obligation to, constantly be there at this time, I think things are a little bit less stressful, and like I'm not being told to go to any sort of meetings for anybody like for Pennsylvania Stands Up. So I'm definitely a lot less stressed out, and I can research the information I need, and I'm not worried about, say, an uneven agreement between me and an organization who just basically wants to use me for something that has nothing to do with what my organization has to do, and then of course deletes me off the Slack chat, for trying to bring up irrelevant stuff. Anyway, so yeah, so the thing is, if they think I'm, rationalizing or justifying, I mean, I get their opinion, but also I'm gonna, take the opportunity to vent, and I'm gonna put people's names out there, and everybody knows what I know. It's not like everything is actually a secret. Everything's an open secret, if you will. But the thing is, why should like a completely different culture, if you will, that has nothing to do with that sort of thing, actually be interested? But what I'm talking about is like, say, presumably if police are right wing, and Pennsylvania Stands Up is considered far left wing, if you will, not necessarily, communist, but socialist. Why would police have interest in protecting the interests of something like Pennsylvania Stands Up from any sort of Christian or even politicians? But then again, the climate is changing. Where you once were able to be more critical, and you could be assured that if you were working for a major newspaper, you would have strong enough lawyers, to defend you. But now the whole the disqualification of whole swaths of law firms based on the fact that they tried to sue this national administration before that it's a conflict of interest. Anyway,
So then all these people are going to get the idea, that they can get away with stuff. But then if I change with the times, then you know what? I might as well take advantage of the loopholes too. If I read up on stuff, and that's been my weakness. I have not been reading up on stuff. I have not been fact checking, and I do not know what kind of fact checking is done. If it's more liberal leaning or more conservative leaning, or if it's like an independent think tank, but say if it's leaning toward even some other more obscure agenda than even like right wing and left wing. Anyway. But yeah, lots of things to think about. Lots of considerations. And the thing is, there's a lot of people who don't want thinking. There's a lot of people who don't want considerations. They want the monoculture. They want the pre-Hegelian thinking. You're familiar with Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, right? Hegel, who at some point. What?
Alien dialectic.
Yes, you got it. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So why would fundamentalist Christianity be at odds with the? Yeah, somebody had a whole website about how Christianity was at odds with the Hegelian dialectic. Okay, yeah, it says fundamentalist Christianity and Hegelian dialectic clash on several fundamental levels, primarily concerning their approaches to truth, authority, and the nature of reality. Oh my God, that's kind of scary. Nature and truth. Fundamentalist Christianity emphasizes revealed truth as absolute and unchanging, primarily found in Scripture. Truth is seen as divinely ordained and not subject to human interpretation or evolution. There is a strong emphasis on dogma and established doctrine. Hegelian dialectic posits that truth is a dynamic process of development, evolving through the interplay of opposing ideas, thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Truth is seen as historical and contextual, constantly being refined through human reason and experience, emphasizes the importance of critical inquiry and the intellectual exploration. Okay, now I see where they try to get the argument that say that there's like moral relativity, but that's only because, say, the liberal side has sort of dug its heels in and then sort of created a dogma out of, so it's not as emergent as it used to be when it was fresh. Okay. 2, authority. Fundamentalist Christianity places ultimate authority in Scripture and or religious leaders, relies on divine revelation and tradition as sources of knowledge, discourages questioning or challenging established doctrines. Hegelian dialectic values reason and critical thinking as primary tools for understanding reality, encourages the questioning of existing assumptions and the pursuit of new knowledge. Authority is seen as emerging from the rational process of dialectical engagement. So yeah, the whole thing with political dialogue, it seems like there's an attempt to shut down political dialogue. But then of course, they would have said the same thing about us too, and I mean, they would have said that we were enslaving them for like, I mean, as in certain type of white people for 200 years because they couldn't have slaves or whatever, or be like the antebellum South. I mean, there were a lot of people in this country who still loved the what do you call it, Confederacy. Like nobody really knew what what's his name, Pat Buchanan stood for, being a paleo conservative, different from, mainstream Republicanism, religious right, moral majority, Christian nationalists, all these things just coming out now. And it's like, they were just waiting all this time, just like telling their stories to the kids all the time. And now, the kids are coming up and they're saying, we want justice, blah, blah, blah. We are justice. Well, no, they're not actually saying that. They're actually attributing it to God, and that's what makes it confusing, because it's sort of a deflection, because they can't actually talk to the other people, the other side, if you will, and of course, often neither can liberals. Anyway, nature of reality. Fundamentalist Christianity often holds a dualistic worldview, separating the sacred from the secular, emphasizes supernatural realm and divine intervention in human affairs, can be skeptical of secular knowledge and scientific inquiry. Actually, my best friend Charles, he's actually a young Earth creationist, and of course, young Earth creationists and old Earth creationists are at odds with each other. Old Earth creationists have have somewhat made peace with evolution. Some think that it's that they're compatible with each other. Young Earth creationists think the world is, 6,000 years old. Maybe some flat earthers, and they think that the interpretation of the Bible is like literal and stuff like that. That they look for scientific evidence of that, but there's holes. I mean, and most educated people can tell, but it's like, well, gotta let people think it through sometimes. The Hegelian dialectic seeks to understand reality as a unified and interconnected whole, emphasizes the immanence of reason and the historical development of consciousness. Oh, consciousness. Yeah, that seems like possibly influence from Hindu and Buddhism kind of stuff, because like Hegel did write about spirituality. Oh, and then that would explain sort of why Marxism is sort of like a pseudo spirituality, if you will, because of course that Marx and Hegel actually collaborated on something before, right?
I knew there was a connection. I thought it had more to do with revolution and opposing reaching.
Yeah. It was. They were criticizing particular political leaders. It might have been the one entitled "The Holy Family" that they were writing about the certain political leaders that they didn't like. Let's see. Okay. Immanence of reason, the historical development of consciousness, values the integration of diverse perspectives in the pursuit of a comprehensive understanding of reality. Yes. Whole personhood, like I speak out of, like holistic stuff, yeah. But also, in some cases, clear logic depending on the situation. The concept of change, fundamentalist Christianity tends to be very conservative and resistant to change, especially when that change is perceived to be in opposition to religious doctrine. Hegelian dialectic changes the driving force in the entire system. The synthesis of two opposing ideas is the creation of change. In essence, fundamentalist Christianity prioritizes revealed truth and divine authority, while the Hegelian dialectic emphasizes reason, critical inquiry, and dynamic evolution of knowledge. These contrasting approaches create a fundamental tension between the two worldviews. The Hegelian dialectic process is seen as a threat to the established, unchanging truth of fundamentalist Christianity. Oh my goodness! Basically, that's the plot of the first episode of the original series of Star Trek. Interesting. The general dialogue about like what people are willing to give up, or what people are willing to sacrifice in order to have freedom, essentially, if approached by somebody who like appears to have godlike powers, if you will. Now, if you ask occultist Jordan Maxwell, he'll say that the earth is ruled essentially by an evil deity, or rather a group of evil deities. And so like when people are looking for God, technically, if they're looking for a good God, then they're looking for anytime there is an absence of, say, these evil deities acting. But that's also that's also consistent with the Gnostic interpretation of things, in which Yaldabaoth is like the evil god, and then Sophia is the goddess of wisdom, and she puts herself into Eve, and then also gives Adam some kind of genetic specialty as well, where the light within the human being is eventually supposed to overcome the darkness of humanity, and also the entrapments that Yaldabaoth tries to put on people. Anyway. Yeah. And see that's the funny thing. Sometimes it has to be, when somebody like mentions something for like the internet system to like pick it up, and then I get whatever it is, a suggestion in YouTube for like a video to watch, because it was my friend Tara who started to mention Yaldabaoth, and I'm like, what's that? And I'd actually made a recording of it on my phone. Of course, I didn't realize, Apple might, share anything that's on my phone, at least as metadata, with partners and stuff like that, or in general with the whole internet. There must be like a pool of like information that's like generally shared.
with everybody, because I don't know how, say, Google or the AI world or anything would have been able to get so big so fast, without that kind of thing happening. But I mean, like, there's already programs like the Google Voice, which is able to convert all phone conversations and all messages left on the answering machine into text immediately. So it must mean that text is profiled and fed back into the Google system so they can improve their marketing. Because like my cousin Audrey, she used to work as a user experience person, and so she would tweak that algorithm, based on what certain groups of people liked. Now she's retired after basically being on a traveling team for Google, and she lives on some kind of, I don't know, organic farm or whatever. Yeah. She had tons of elaborate vacations, though. It's sometimes it's enviable, but also sometimes it's not, because of course she did have to work for all that, and probably put in extra time as well. One thing about Google is supposedly they do allow you to wear your slippers and pajamas to work. Yeah, at Google. It's really casual and laid back. Oh, and by the way, at Facebook, they even had a laundry service because they're so desperate for coders. And some people in San Francisco, they'll make rent deals with people. Like, for a certain amount of coding, they can lower their rent by like $200 to $300 or something like that. Yeah. And then of course that person is doing that additional coding in addition to whatever work they're doing at the tech firm. Yeah. So are you doing any programming projects at all on the side?
You're talking about gig work?
Did you say geek work?
Gig.
Gig work. No, not even. Well, not even gig work, but I mean, like, have you ever wanted to, like, I guess, design your own program or whatever? Like, because now Google Gemini actually has a setting on it which is specifically for working with mathematical symbols and coding, incidentally. Yeah. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it offered to me because I had actually asked it some math questions. Let me see. Yeah, 2.5 Pro, which is experimental, says best for complex tasks. It can also do deep research, which is in-depth research reports. It's not at the level of 2.5 Pro, but it can give you, like, basically a couple pages worth of information, and it can read like over 100 like websites at a time when it's doing that. Although it does take about 5 minutes to generate the research report. So I've always dreamed of something like that myself, because I never like clicking through websites. I wish everything were on the front page of every website so that I could just keep scrolling down the whole worth of information in the entire website. But nobody designs websites like that. But I already have plenty of difficulty, making it through like full-length documents. But I'll find a better way to get through those full-length documents and also books as well. I am trying to on the side slowly read some books, and so that I don't deprive others of the ability to hear some stuff from those books. I try to read excerpts online to people, yeah. So I've read chapter 1 and 2 of Andrew Yang's The War on Normal People on YouTube. But I'd like to eventually make it through the whole book, and then I'd eventually like to go back and like re-listen to it, but like stop it at intervals and then try to make comments and do research. Anyway, so that's basically the way I've been doing everything, these days. just sort of like trying to deconstruct things, not necessarily to the point where, I want to see anything go away. I mean, of course, change happens in society a lot slower for social, economic, and political stuff. They talk about cultural lag a lot. Yeah. So the way that people feel, like they talk about it in terms of people catching up about Trump being elected a second time, and then all this stuff happening, and say, if there was, if there was a bad person in their midst, they wouldn't know it. They think they're the law. They think they're the good. They think we're the bad. Blah blah blah. They say everything about us that we would say about them. Blah blah blah. And so the thing is, if somebody said you don't know cult mentality if you think that anything that you say is going to influence or convince a MAGA person, and so like Heather Cox Richardson was saying, it's going to be a slow quitting, that when like they're worn out from, what they sowed, if you will. But they're never going to admit it, because Heather Cox Richardson was saying that, people who were part of fascism in Italy and Germany and stuff like that, they would never admit that they were part of it, because the polls showed that they had changed their opinions, because there was so significant increase of people, who were for, the type of democracy that Europe has now, that all of those people who had supported fascism before had to make a 180, basically. So yeah, that's the thing. So if there was something that they missed, something that they were wrong on, they have to save face. Face saving is really big in American culture, because it's so individualist and stuff. Yeah, I forget where I was going with that. Well, anyway, I'm pretty exhausted, so I think I probably better go. But if you have any last words for me before we go, that'd be great.
Please tell your parents, your sister, and brother-in-law I said hello and send them my love.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, hi, Carl.
Thank you.
All right, yep, you too. All right, love you. Take care. Bye.